Hello and welcome. We're back in Punta Cana for our afternoon session from 2 to 5. And of course, joined by my friend, two-time world champion and Olympian, Óscar Valdez. And I promised you guys we were going to have a surprise. And here it is. We're smoking beautiful cigars. When in Dominican, we got to do what Dominicans do, which is smoke cigars.
Yeah, it's my first time. I've never I never smoked cigars, and I'm here in the Dominican Republic. I think if there was ever a time where I could smoke a cigar, we'll be here with you, who's the expert, who's actually teaching us a little bit on how to smoke a cigar, because there's a how to do it. You
Yes.
know, I was just watching on the movies. I don't have a clue, so I'm a novice, as you can tell.
We can continue lighting that up because we gotta make it even a little bit.
Okay.
So there's a little bit more sticks right there that you can actually burn. So while we're doing this, I just wanted to let you know that Óscar is a natural for this. As you can see, the outfit is perfect. All we need is a mojito and then we're in. Hemingway, move aside. This is something that we do. We've been doing for a long time. In where I come from, we do it regularly. And it's tradition. When you're among friends and you have quiet time, we get a chance to enjoy this. Les prometí una sorpresa y la sorpresa está aquí. Tenemos a mi amigo, 2 veces campeón mundial, olímpico, Óscar Valdez, y lo he presentado en el mundo de fumar puros y se está fumando tal vez uno de los mejores cigarros que hay. Cuando en Dominicana tenemos que hacer lo que se hace en República Dominicana, una de las cepas de lo que es el mundo del tabaco, no podía faltar y los invitamos a ustedes a que nos acompañen porque la cita es larga hoy. Pero mientras comenzamos a fumar bien el puro, quiero invitarlos a ustedes a que visiten con nosotros lo que es el mundo del boxeo. Hoy tuvimos la oportunidad de hablar con el vaquero Navarrete y después teníamos que hablar con The GOAT, la mejor del mundo en este momento, 2 veces campeona olímpica y también la campeona indiscutida en las 160 libras. No podía faltar Claressa Shields, que fue reconocida como una de las grandes de la OMB y ayer recibió un premio muy importante. Tuvimos una entrevista crucial, hablamos con ella sobre lo que son la probabilidad de llevar el boxeo femenino a 12 asaltos, 3 minutos por asalto. Es una diferencia bastante grande.
Sin duda es una diferencia muy grande, pero recordar que esta es mi primera vez.
Está súper bien.
Un poro, por si me ven como un novato, soy un novato. Claudia es la experta en cómo hacer, cómo se debe fumar un puro, porque...
Pero tu look está perfecto.
Mi look, sí, porque estamos en
yo no encontré sombrero.
Es un poquito más fácil, digo, el vestimiento mi esposo lo puede hacer, es más fácil, pero esto tiene su chiste. Y Claudia me está ayudando un poquito a cómo hacer esto. Pero regresando al boxeo, sí, yo tuve la oportunidad y me siento afortunado de poder platicar con grandes campeones en esta convención del OMB. Ayer tuvimos la plática con Claressa Shields. Tuve una plática de uno y uno con ella y se me hizo muy interesante esto de subir de 2 minutos a 3 minutos, que es riesgoso. Es riesgoso por muchas cosas, no nomás por ella, sino por todo el boxeo femenil. No la misma, agregarle 1 minuto cambia mucho, entonces sí puede llegar a ser complicado para las boxeadoras femeninas, no que no puedan, porque sabemos que sí se puede, pero yo creo que hay excepciones donde lo pueden hacer y ser bien. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Claressa Shields, Erika Cruz, entre ellas un par de mujeres más, pero no para todas. Yo creo que sí puede ser. Es complicado no nomás para los boxeadores, para nosotros, sino para boxeo femenil y varonil. Entonces, yo creo que se tiene que checar bien y tomar una decisión correcta en eso, no nomás brincarse a los 3 minutos, sino pensarla bien, porque si no va a ser fácil.
Hablando como un gran campeón, let's do this again in English. Of course, we had a chance to speak to Claressa Shields. We were talking about the probability or the possibilities of taking women's boxing to 12 rounds, 3-minute rounds. And you have your opinion about that.
Yes, I'm very fortunate to have a conversation with Claressa Shields last night. Very nice, sweet girl. Had a good conversation with her, and there was a conversation where we were talking about girls moving from 2-minute rounds to 3-minute rounds, and I believe is easier said than done. Not because women can't do it. Of course, they can do it. But it's how they're going to do it. It's how they're going to do it, and it's what is it going to take from them. I believe there's exceptions who can do it in a very fashionable way. Amanda Serrano, Claressa Shields, Katie Taylor, Erika Cruz, among other women who I believe that I think they'll do it just fine. But not for the whole women boxing. I think it's going to be, it could become very complicated. Become very complicated because it's not easy. It's not easy. It's the first rounds, you might feel okay, but what happens after the fifth round, the fourth round? Adding one more minute, it's a lot.
Let's be clear, that could add easily another 12 minutes to a fight. But do we have the interview ready? Another? Well, we're going to continue 5 more minutes, but I do need you to burn it evenly.
Okay,
so if you can
okay.
use the match.
Beth, you see, she's an expert.
I'm like, dude, we got to burn it evenly.
Let's do it. I need a.
You got it.
I don't want Dominicans laughing at me or Cubans or people who smoke cigars.
Easy, no rush.
Okay. Got me.
There's no rush. There's no rush.
A little bit
and
nervous.
This is not for everybody. Let's be clear. This is not for everybody. We're doing. When in Rome, you do as the Romans. And I just took this opportunity to enjoy one of the most beautiful things that we do have in the Hispanic culture, which is just smoking a good cigar, enjoying quiet time. And we've had that opportunity here in Dominican Republic. We also did it in Puerto Rico. And of course, we're doing it. It's open. There are no kids around. So why not? Don't burn your fingers. Please don't burn your fingers.
No.
I don't want Frank getting mad at me. There you go. And of course, he's dressed for the part. I'm a buck short and a day late. But in the meantime, we're going to try to burn that better for you.
Okay.
In the meantime, please enjoy this interview. Claressa Shields, after she got a beautiful recognition by the WBO, talking to us about women's boxing and the evolution of women's boxing in general. Take a quick look at this. Lo que se debe se cumple y la promesa se cumple. Estamos aquí con la máxima, con la mejor exponente del boxeo femenino, sin lugar a dudas, the GOAT. So I promised and I delivered. Here we're in royalty, in the presence of royalty, the GOAT herself, Claressa Shields. You came all the way to Dominican Republic, once again being recognized, obviously making history. How does it feel?
It feels great to just be acknowledged and, complimented for my hard work. And I've been making moves in women's boxing with the equal pay and equal fight opportunity and just equal TV time and all this different kind of stuff. So just happy that now it's all starting to pay off.
So our last fight in Detroit, you brought a lot of people in. A lot of people love to see you. How does it feel to be loved and being appreciated in your hometown?
12,000 people showed up to an arena that held 15,000. And the first fight at Little Caesars Arena up in Detroit. To all my fans that came, I'm just truly grateful. It was so humbling. And then to have the night of 1,000 stars and have the 1,000 kids there that just all around Flint, Pontiac, and Detroit. It was just great overall. I got wrapped out by Cash Dow. I'm showing these other girls how to do it. The guys have been getting wrapped out forever. Now I'm kind of showing the women that this is what we should do too. It kind of builds our brand and helps us and helps the rappers or whatever. And I have to thank Maricela Cornejo for stepping up. Hannah Gabriels tested positive for antibiotic steroids. I don't know if she's a drug cheat or not, but I know that was in her system. And it was in her B sample also. So she was positive. She did drop dirty, so I wasn't able to fight her. But Maricela Cornejo stepped up in a week's notice, came, she fought, she gave her best. Of course I am the GOAT and I won unanimously like I do all my fights. But it was just overall just great. I've been saying for years that women's boxing have fans, that if you put us on the main event of a card, you promote it right, the fans will come out. To have 12,000 fans show up for the little black girl from Flint, it really meant the world to me. And Little Caesars want to have me back. And right now I'm just in a short of opponents. So anybody that wants to come, beat me up. Give us a call.
DM the GOAT. But moreover, you have taken boxing to a different level because you've used this platform, your recognition, your name, your brand, to bring attention to even bigger cases. The water in Flint, the water in Detroit, obviously still a matter that a lot of people don't even know. What do we need to do to help you out? How do we get more information on all this issue in that area?
Well, it's a lot of issues up in Flint. So the first one, like you said, is the water crisis. That's why I still wear my hair blue. To let everybody know that the water crisis, even though it's not in the mainstream media, it still exists. So people that want to, if they want to inbox me, if they want to send me pallets of water, if they want to bring trucks to Flint pallets of water and you know, give it away to Flint residents, that's still very, very helpful. We still need water filters. And of course, I don't know what they're doing about the pipes that need to be changed in the housing, but that also needs to happen too. I heard that they're changing like 2 houses every month or something like that.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. But we still need to be able to do more. And that's what you can do for right now, just to help with the water crisis.
And of course, being recognized once again, the WBO extending their hand to highlight the great talent. WBO established this whole line of outstanding fighters. Obviously, when you started, this did not exist. So when you stand here and you look at this long line of champions, what goes through your head?
I just look at, it's so many great men and so many great women, but when I look at the women's side, I just see like all of us doing our part to add to the bigger picture. I know people always walk up to me and they say, I only watch, you know, women's boxing because of you, you know, but in a way, all of us women have that happen to us where we have certain fans that say, hey, I watch women's boxing because of you, but after I found you, I found someone else, right? And that kind of big all of us up, and I'm just so happy for all of us and that we're all just working toward the same cause now, fighting for the 3 minutes and 12 rounds, equal pay, equal TV time, equal opportunity. We're all doing our part, you know, so shout out to Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Alicia Baumgartner, Sandy Ryan. I thought that she won the fight the other night against Jessica McCaskill, but shout out to Jessica McCaskill too. All the women who are putting in work. Shout out to Michaela Mayer, Virginia Fuchs, Christina Cruz. All these girls are putting in the work. Sinisa Estrada. There's so many girls I can name. Marlena Sparks. I keep thinking of girls' name that pop up in my head. Savannah. You know, all these girls. Oh my gosh. Chantel Camperon.
Chantel Cameron right behind us?
Yeah.
Franchon Cruz?
Il Capo, you know.
Il Capo, you got it.
Shout out to Franchon Cruz. Also, all of us has been doing our work equally to big up women's boxing and big up each other. So, that's it, Katie. I'm quite sure I did. But all of us, like when I see the lineup, I'm like, man, all of us are doing such a great job with this cause. And when it's all said and done, and we're all getting paid $1 million and the big time TVs, you know, we're getting the money, we're getting the TV money, we're getting the opportunity, and we're seeing young girls just constantly just turn pro. We are going to be able to give ourselves a pat on the back and say, you know what, good job, you know, good job.
Paris is coming up. Another good class of ladies representing the U.S., Mexico, Puerto Rico, and obviously, like you said, just turning pro very soon. But moreover, Puerto Rico, Amanda Serrano, October 27th, once again, pushing the envelope, 12 rounds, 3 minutes. Is this the time for women to just say, yes, WBC, WBO, WBA, let's go for the 3-minute rounds?
Well, honestly, I think 3-minute rounds is good, but only for 10 rounds right now. People aren't realizing that that women right now for a world championship fight, we fight for 20 minutes of fight time. But that's 30 minutes for the fight. You got 2 minutes of action, 1 minute rest. That 3 times 10 is 30. We're now jumping from fighting 20 minutes to fighting 36 minutes. And that to me is dangerous. I think we should go from the 20 to the 30. I think we should do 10 3-minute rounds first and let all the women in boxing catch up to that. And then once we're all comfortable with that for a couple of years, then we fight for the 3 minutes for 12 rounds. Because now we go from 30 minutes of fighting to 36. And it's not that big of a deal. But right now, I applaud Amanda Serrano because I would have done it also, but she is a woman that can do that. I can do that. Katie Taylor can do that. Alicia can do that. Not every woman in boxing can go from fighting for a world championship and taking those punches for 20 minutes and then jumping and start doing it for 36. Mm-hmm. You have to prepare. You know, I live by the 5 Ps. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. So if you just, even me right now, I was just jump in the ring and be like, hey, I'm about to fight a world title fight, 3 months, 3 minutes, 12 rounds. It would be very, very hard for me, and I had to change up my whole training regimen. And I still wouldn't perform how I would perform at
2 minutes, 10 rounds.
Right, because it's just so different. So I think it's the right time right now, just that somebody is doing it. So shout out to Amanda Serrano, but it's dangerous for her and her fighter, the girl she's fighting against. And we have to like do something that us as a whole, as women, can agree on, which I was always thinking we're either going to go 12 2-minute rounds or we're going to go 3 10-minute rounds. And that was just my way of saying, let's just get closer to our goals and then we can start working our way up there. But right now, for her just to jump from 20 to 36, hey, boss, I like it, but it's still dangerous, that's all.
We'll see what happens. We're looking forward to that day. And just between you and I know we don't have an opponent yet, so DM her. I'm looking forward to that. I better get that premise right there, breaking news. But when would you like to fight again? Again before the end of the year?
I would love to fight before the end of the year. Doesn't look like it's likely to happen, but will be coming back to MMA in February, and I'll be fighting. So if not, end of the year, I would like to fight in boxing again June, July of next year. Mm-hmm.
So there you go. Stay tuned. It's always a pleasure. So we're looking February and June, July. So 2024 is already stacked. Looking forward to seeing you again back in the ring. And it's always such a pleasure. Gorgeous as usual and powerful and inspirational. Thank you. Thank you for all the sacrifices. Thank you for being a role model. Thank you for speaking up. I know it's not easy. It takes a lot of courage. So thank you.
But you're welcome. Thank you.
Love you.
I love you.
So there you go. Claressa Shields, she made quick math. 10 rounds, 2 minutes, 20 minutes fight. And then she says the math could be dangerous. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I agree with her. It turned from 20 minutes to 36 minutes? 36 minutes, it's a big difference. It's a big difference, and especially when you haven't tried it. I understand if you've tried it and you know how it feels in sparring sessions, in an actual fight, because it's completely different a sparring session from fighting in an actual match where you got the pressure, when you're trying to fight for your people, when you got a well-prepared fighter in front of you fighting just as hard as you are. It could get complicated those extra 16 minutes. So I agree with Claressa Shields, and I agree with her because it's coming from her. 2-time Olympian, gold medalist, multiple times world champion, and
highly decorated fighter.
Highly decorated. You know, she's the best, or at least one of the best by numbers. You know, there's a lot of great female boxers out there that I can see them pulling them off. I don't want to say that they can't. Of course they can, but it's how they're gonna do it. It's how they're gonna do it. It can make the fight a little bit slower. And what we want is entertainment. Me as a boxing fanatic, we want entertainment. You look at fights like Claressa Shields when she throws all those bombs and coming forward and blocking and hitting. Someone who has a great style, Amanda Serrano, who's beautiful technique, and I can see them pulling off. Katie Taylor, like I mentioned, a lot of women who I can see them pulling off, but I don't see a lot of women who can pull it off in a fashionable way. They can maybe do it.
Entertaining way.
Entertaining way, that's what I'm trying to.
Skillful,
yeah,
but entertaining.
Entertaining. And that's what they want. People want to see great fights. Not that they can't do it, repeat, I want to make that clear. It's how they're going to do it. Is it going to be, you can go 2 minute rounds throwing a lot more punches, but now adding 1 more minute, you're going to have to slow down your shots. Maybe you have to throw a little bit less. And people don't want to see less shots. People want to see fights. They want to see blood. They want to see knockdowns. And I think that makes it easier if it's 2 rounds. But there's always that saying, be careful what you wish for.
You might just get it.
You might just get it. And me as a boxer, we want longevity. We want to last in the boxing world. And I'm almost sure most of us think that way. Female boxers and male boxers and little weight class and bigger weight class, and it's all the same thing. Like you said before, we don't want to say female or male boxers.
Fighters.
Boxers in general, fighters in general. We want to last because we love what we do. But for that to happen, you know, we got to take precaution, and that's why this the organization right now, the assembly is being held to take care of a fighter, and I think that needs to be checked more.
Solo para hacer una recapitulación de la entrevista que hicimos con Claressa Shields, hablando precisamente de un momento histórico que viene al final del mes de octubre, en solo un par de semanas. Amanda Serrano va a hacer historia. La primera vez que se va a una pelea de campeonato, 12 asaltos, 3 minutos. Y Claressa, obviamente, siendo una de las boxeadoras más laureadas, más decoradas a nivel olímpico y obviamente también a nivel profesional, dice, yo respeto todo el esfuerzo que está haciendo Amanda, pero hay palabras de caución. Hay que tener cuidado.
Hay que tener cuidado, especialmente porque se escucha fácil subir de 2 minutos a 3 minutos. Y si no me equivoco, son 20 minutos, como dice Claressa Shields. Perdón.
Sí, la pelea.
La pelea puede durar 20 minutos. Ya si le agregas a los 3 rounds, 3 minutos los rounds, pues se sube hasta 36 minutos. Entonces, eso puede complicar las cosas porque, por muchas razones. Una, por la salud de la mujer, por el cómo se van a ver. No es que diga que no puedan, porque claro que pueden, y claro que van a haber muchos que van a decir, yo puedo y te voy a tapar la boca. Y ojalá sea el caso, porque me encanta ver ese tipo de historias que tapan la boca a la persona que no cree. Pero, ¿qué es lo que queremos? Queremos, uno, durar en el mundo del boxeo. Yo como peleador quiero durar lo más que pueda. Yo quiero durar 40, si es posible 50 años boxeando. Mira, hasta mis 50 años boxeando. La realidad es que es muy poco probable que sea así. Pero si queremos durar en el boxeo, tenemos que cuidar la salud del boxeador, la salud del boxeador femenil y varonil, que es la misma cosa. Somos peleadores y arriesgamos la vida siempre arriba del ring, seas mujer o hombre. Para que eso pase, yo creo que la mujer debe de considerar, en mi opinión, los 2 minutos. Porque sí hay excepciones, creo que personas como Amanda Serrano, Claressa Shields, Erika Cruz, Katie Taylor, y hay un par de mujeres más que están en mi mente que sí creo que son capaces de hacerlo bien. Pero la mayoría de las mujeres, boxeo femenil, con todo respeto, sin ofender, se complica, se puede complicar, puede ser más complicado porque ¿qué es lo que queremos? Queremos una buena pelea. Si yo veo peleas de mujeres que son de 2 minutos y se dan con todo y lo disfrutamos mucho, disfrutamos el boxeo femenil que se den con todo. Si le agregas ese minuto, pues es solamente lógico que van a tener que tirar un poquito menos porque te vas a casar por los 2 asaltos.
Es que 1 minuto se dice fácil, pero una pelea callejera no dura 1 minuto.
Y aparte de eso, uno ya lo ha vivido y sabe lo complicado que es. El momento que ya empiecen a entrenar a los 3 minutos y ya cuando se hace una pelea, porque es muy diferente hacer un sparring a 3 minutos a una pelea de 3 minutos, porque en la pelea de 3 minutos, ya con la presión, ya cuando tu raza sea Puerto Rico, México, Estados Unidos, que te estén presionando, que te estén exigiendo dar una buena pelea, pues te vas a esforzar al límite para esos 3 minutos. Ya cuando te en los últimos asaltos, puede ser muy cansado. Entonces, es lógico que van a tirar un poquito menos los primeros asaltos y puede convertirse en una pelea, me atrevo a decirlo, aburrida.
Tediosa. Ella habla de un punto intermedio de transición. O 10 asaltos de 3 minutos o 12 asaltos de 2 minutos, que sería o 10 de 3, que serían 30, o 12 de 2, que serían 24. Que es un punto intermedio para peleas de campeonato. Y así, poco a poco, ir creciendo. Aunque todos estamos respetando y le damos enhorabuena a Amanda que está empujando, ¿no?
Ojo a eso, se le tiene que dar el reconocimiento a Amanda por
Total.
querer empujar eso. ¿Qué significa? Que Amanda
Y a Ramos también.
está buscando grandeza. Eso también se lo tengo que respetar mucho a Amanda Serrano, que está empujando para eso. Pero se está viendo de ella, de sus cualidades boxísticas, lo que ella puede
Claro.
ser. Yo, está viendo yo creo que por el bien de boxeo femenil, en mi opinión, yo respeto su opinión, respeto la opinión de todos, pero en mi opinión yo creo que está bien 2 minutos. Para que sigan viendo peleas atractivas, que se den con todo y que gane la mejor. Ya cuando 3 minutos, sí de por sí, ahora vamos a ser un poquito más sinceros. Si de por sí alguien como Amanda Serrano es muy complicado tener competencia para esta. Claro que sí hay competencia. Tuve una excelente pelea con esta Erika Cruz. Lo disfruté mucho. Aparte, tengo una
Se dieron con todo.
buena amistad yo con Erika Cruz. Estuvimos en el Comité Olímpico juntos, representamos en México en varias ocasiones en torneos internacionales. Fue una excelente pelea. Pero ya agregarle otro minuto creo que es quitarte competencia, lo que creo que hace falta en el boxeo femenil. Tenemos el caso de Claressa Shields. Bueno, yo no veo a alguien, sinceramente, que le gane a esta mujer. Por algo se le nombra lo que se nombra. Por eso ella se llama the GOAT, the greatest woman of all time.
Y esas son palabras mayores.
Son palabras mayores porque tenemos que, hablando ahora de libra por libra femeniles, repito, siempre es muy complicado porque a mí cuando alguien me pregunta de tu libra por libra, me estresa mucho porque pongo uno aquí, uno, 2, 3, 4 y me recuerda, hey, ¿dónde pones a Inoue? Yo te tengo que volverla a hacer, entonces es lo mismo con el boxeo femenil. Hay grandes mujeres en el deporte y es muy complicado, es complicado. Después a Katie Taylor y después a Amanda y
Savannah Marshall y Cameron.
Sí, son los nombres que me siguen
sí.
faltando porque sí los tengo en la mente, pero se me siguen olvidando. Pero bueno, sí es complicado y por los números que hacen, los títulos, las divisiones que ha subido, que ha bajado, qué tan rápido lo ha logrado este y el otro. Entonces, sí se puede, porque pues, ojo, no hay favoritismo aquí, nomás hablamos de boxeo porque nos gusta el boxeo.
Por el valor que traen al ring. So when we talk about greatest facing the greatest, and I find that we can finally speak about women's boxing as being at that same level. When we talk about skill set, when we talk about the ability to bring fans in, not only in terms of numbers for viewership, but numbers in butts in those seats. You know, they now have the same ability. So I can understand when she's talking about the caution. I totally understand. But somebody's got somebody, and obviously Amanda's taking that flag and saying, I'm going to be that somebody that's going to push the envelope. And there's always that one first, and then she opens the door, and then the rest will follow. But there's always a level of caution.
Level of caution, and we got to point out, we got to show respect and admiration to Amanda Serrano for pushing. Because what is she doing? She's looking for greatness. She's looking for greatness. But continue saying, I don't mean no disrespect. I mean this in the most, because this is my opinion. I respect everybody else's opinion. I think adding one more minute could be crucial for women's boxing. Because we want entertaining fights. We want entertaining fights, and for that, I see fighters, women's boxing, and they go at it for the 2 minutes, and it's entertaining. But once you add that one more minute, it's only reasonable they're gonna slow down their shots because they gotta maintain the stamina from the first round to the 12th round or the 10th round, and that can make the fight a little bit more slower. I don't want to say boring. Because
slower pace.
People who are boxing fanatics could appreciate boxing skills. People could enjoy a rig on down. The casual fan does not enjoy a rig on down. And that could be this case for women's boxing because they got to slow it down, throw less shots because they got to maintain their stamina from the first round to the last round. Now, I've said this before. I do see exceptions pulling enough. but it's going to be hard to see all women's boxing like that. So,
But there's a reason why, and I hate to interrupt you, but there's a reason why in boxing in general, you don't go straight to 6 and 8 and 10 rounds.
Claro.
That's why you start at 4, you go to 6, then you go from 6 to 8. You could go back and forth from 6 to 8 because you have to grow into the sport.
no, there's always that one. This could be the case, and I would love it if she does it in a highly class way, where she can walk out to me and tell me, "See, I told you." I love those
And
stories.
she will.
I love those stories. I love those stories where it's like when somebody's doubting, and they say, "Hey, what's up? Or what did I tell you? Did I pull it off? Did I not pull it off?" So this could be one of those cases, and I'm sure she can. I'm sure she can. But what about all the other rest? So that's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But it could be complicated for women's boxing. Women's boxing, because what we want more attraction to women's boxing, but it has to be entertaining. And over the years, we've seen women's boxing grow. It is because of her, because of Amanda Serrano, it's because Claressa Shields, it's because of Katie Taylor, because all these women boxing that have come from the Olympics are now turning pro, and they're doing an amazing job. It has improved. And this could be one of those cases where it evolves into something even better. So we'll just have to see on her next fight, and then from there on, see what happens.
And as we shout out to all these current champs and all those contenders that are coming up, I want to take this opportunity to call out on a mutual friend that we admire, that was one of those that were in the transition where there was a huge lull in women's boxing, Jackie Nava.
Jackie Nava, I never get tired of mentioning her, because at least for me, that was the one that I grew up watching as female boxing. And I was like, wow, look at her beautiful style. She fights better than a lot of my boxing friends. Pelea bonito, she fights beautiful. And I think she's one of the ones that opened the gate for women's boxing, who inspired a lot of women's boxing. So I always take my hat off to Jackie Nava. In my eyes, I know by numbers, I know what Claressa, Amanda, all those women have done, but in my eyes, she's a Julio Cesar Chavez for women's boxing, women's Mexican boxing.
Mariana Juárez, the Barbie Juárez.
Ana Maria Torres. There's been a couple of Mexican fighters, but like you said before, there wasn't much opportunity for them. They had to fight in Mexico. That's why they weren't worldwide recognized. I'm pretty sure they are, but I think they could have been way bigger if they would have been in this day of time.
Yep.
With the social media, with this and then that.
Exposure.
With the exposure. That's the correct word. With the exposure, I think they would have been way bigger. But for me, they're big in boxing.
They're the OGs.
Yes.
They're the OGs.
OGs of boxing.
So, así como nosotros estamos hablando de estas grandes campeonas que hoy no solo están abriendo puertas, empujando para otras posibilidades, también están obviamente abriendo la exposición para el boxeo femenino. Pero vamos a tomar esta oportunidad para recordar a esas originales que no tuvieron la misma era, que no vivieron el boxeo que tenemos hoy en día. Tengo una amiga mutua que es Jackie Nava, que, por cierto, madre de dos, esposa, hermana, amiga, y siguió boxeando. Es más, llevó su carrera boxística a representar también a nivel político en México. Y hay un saludo para Jackie.
Un saludo para Jackie. Es una guerrera con toda la palabra. Sinceramente, siempre que tengo una oportunidad, yo menciono que, en mi opinión, yo sé que hay números allá porque se han rompido récords, pero yo crecí viendo a Jackie Nava. Es la primera mujer que yo estaba viendo. Y yo la miraba a Jackie Nava y decía, mira qué bonito estilo tiene. Pelea mejor ella con el bonito estilo que muchos de mis amigos boxeadores. Entonces, mira qué bonito pelea.
Estás tirando a todo el mundo bajo el bus.
¿En serio? No, es en serio, porque, pues mira, o sea, como ya lo mencionaste ahorita, lo que se ve no se pregunta, no tengo que decirlo yo. El público que lo vea, van a ver la bonita técnica que tiene Jackie Nava. Me gustaba mucho verla pelear. En mi punto de vista, ella es la Julio César Chávez del boxeo femenil en México, porque, repito, o sea, es la que crecí viendo y muy buen boxeo. Hay mujeres buenísimas, Ana María Torres, la Barbie Juárez, y hay una infinidad de mujeres buenas, pero esa es la que yo crecí viendo, y en la actualidad ahorita ahí van surgiendo boxeadoras mexicanas que van ahí. En mi puro estado hay grandes prospectos que yo veo que van a llegar a ser grandes en el mundo profesional de boxeo femenil. Está ahorita mi amiga Erika Cruz, que tuvo una excelente pelea, una gran batalla con Amanda Serrano, que se dieron con todo, murieron en la raya ambas, y la verdad que me da mucho gusto que vaya creciendo el boxeo femenil. Me tocó estar en el boxeo femenil, en los primeros Juegos Olímpicos que se introdujo el boxeo femenil, donde participó Claressa Shields y participó Queen Underwood y la Marlene Esparza, y tuvo Erika Cruz. Muchas mujeres van evolucionando el boxeo femenil, sin duda, y me da mucho gusto por eso.
Y lo más interesante es, al principio, cuando llegamos acá, había una línea larga, obviamente, de los actuales campeones de la OMB, que los conocemos todos, representan muchos países, pero la línea de las damas, si no es más larga, que precisamente viene hasta acá, es igual de larga a lo de los caballeros. Y yo soy un poquito mayor que tú. Para mí es un gusto y un honor poder pararme al final de esta línea y decir que hemos crecido.
Han crecido mucho. Mira, y se me vino a la mente una boxeadora que me acuerdo mucho, porque aparte de ser muy guapa y boxeaba tremendo, es Jessica Bob. No sé si te acuerdas de Jessica Bob, argentina. Qué bien peleaba esa muchacha. Pero vamos a lo mismo.
¿No tuvo la oportunidad?
No le tocó la exposición que hay hoy en día, no le tocó las luces que hoy se dan por las plataformas, por las televisoras, por cómo va evolucionando el mundo del boxeo. Creo que le hubiera sido uno de esos casos, porque tremenda boxeadora. Cuando me la miraba, pues la miraba en YouTube y me decía, wow, esta sí pelea duro.
Y entonces ahora regreso una vez más a Claressa. Más allá de obviamente sus habilidades boxísticas, que mejor que tú nadie lo puedes describir, pero a nivel periodismo, a nivel mediático, lo que hizo Claressa es levantar la mano y decir, yo voy a usar mi notoriedad a nivel olímpico como una boxeadora laureada, 2 veces medallista olímpica, oro, para comenzar a empujar para la exposición, para igual paga, para ser titular en una pelea, en una cartelera, y eso lo ha logrado ella a pulso.
Sí, sin duda, y tenemos que reconocer los reconocimientos que tiene. Ayer que estaba escuchando todo lo que ha logrado, dije, oye, yo soy fanático del boxeo y ni yo me acordaba los logros que tenía. Es la más rápida en ser
Indiscutida en 2 divisiones.
En 2 divisiones, 2 veces olímpica, es la más rápida en hacerse campeona mundial de varonil y femenil.
En todo.
En todo. Entonces, es de respetar lo que ha hecho Claressa Shields. Entonces, todo eso lo que hemos hablado, vinieron palabras de ella. Ella dijo que sí hay que considerar eso, los 2 minutos, si van a ser 3 minutos, que sean 10 rounds, si sean 3 minutos, si son 3 minutos, que sean 10 rounds, si son de 2 minutos, que sean a los 12. Entonces,
justo.
Viene de ella.
De ella, que obviamente tiene la experiencia. Pero antes de que sigamos, ¿cómo va tu puro? Que creo que se te va a pagar.
No, pues te estoy diciendo que yo soy un novato en esto. Mira, creo que se quemó mal de un lado. Entonces,
no te preocupes, ahora lo emparejamos.
Ahorita me ayudas otra vez a ver cómo.
Tú tranquilo. Just to recap, so as we were walking into this convention center, it was a personal pinch me moment. Because I'm just a little older than you, and I've been around the sport of boxing as a journalist just a little longer. And it was beautiful for me to see the long line of, male champions representing many countries. But on the other side, we have all the ladies representing another set of countries. And if not just as long, just a tad bit longer, because it comes all the way over here. And it's beautiful for me to see that we're making that huge stride. And that's why when we have the opportunity to not only recognize the OGs like the Torres, the Shields, the Navas, the, even you just, I not that I forgot about her, but we don't speak about Jessica Bob as often. But beautiful boxing, but it wasn't their era. They didn't get the chance. They didn't get the lights or the recognition.
And that's when you know that boxing has been evolving. Women's boxing has been evolving because I remember a fighter like Jessica Bob, and I said, wow, she has a beautiful boxing style. I think she could have been well projected nowadays, and she didn't get the exposure as she deserves. So that tells me that women's boxing has been evolving. You got, like you just mentioned, someone that I admired, Jackie Nava in these days would have been way bigger than she was back when I was growing up and watching her. So without a doubt, women's boxing has been growing, and it's thanks to these women boxing that that have been looking for greatness, like Amanda Serrano's trying to do right now, looking for greatness, trying to push those 3-minute rounds. You get Shields doing everything she's doing. So I'm proud to see that. I'm proud to say that I went to the first Olympics that allowed women's boxing. I was there, and it's very beautiful to see because it gives opportunities. Who's to say our daughters can't do it?
Exactly.
Who's to say our daughters can't do it? I go back home, I go back in Hermosillo, Sonora, and I see a lot of little girls training, and they can fight. They can fight, and it's like, wow, now I can see a future. The sad truth back then was that if you were a women's boxing as a little girl, it was the harsh truth was you don't want to cut their wings off, but being realistically is there's not a lot of future in women's boxing back in the days. Nowadays, you could tell a little girl, hey, if you continue with the hard work, you could become a world champion. You can make a living out of this if you really want it. So that brings joys to us.
You're a girl daddy.
Claro. So,
Would you let your girls fight? Ooh.
It's a tough one. I don't think they'll want it. I wouldn't want it.
I'm not asking if they want it. I'll
put it like this. I'll put it like this. And I come from a very conservative family. I come from a military style father.
Upbringing, yeah.
And very strong-handed, very military. I gotta emphasize all of that. And he didn't want me to box. Even he didn't want the macho man, the big Mexicano with the mustache, like with the strong. He didn't want his son to fight.
Really?
He wanted me to be a baseball player because, as a father, you don't want to see your son get hit. He had no choice but to set me as a fighter because I really wanted to fight when I was a kid. So he just, he showed support to me. He showed support and love. Now, but that being said, a father with that didn't want me as a kid to fight. What is a father of a daughter gonna?
Two daughters.
Two daughters.
You're bound to get at least one.
Oh my gosh. I don't think we'll be able to handle it. Because, of course, no father or mother want to see their kids. But I mean, if they want it, I'll try to hide it, push it away. I've always tried to hide the fact that I'm a fighter. You can't hide it as a father. And because now they're in school and their friends tell them, and I don't know.
Do they know how big the dad is?
No. I mean, it's not like I'm like just a beaver where I go on the streets and everybody goes. But
I beg to differ, my friend. I beg to differ because there's not 1 minute that this man can actually walk into this convention center and I have 10 people asking for a picture or an autograph. So I beg to differ.
I mean, she starts asking questions because she sees me in TikTok, she sees me on YouTube, sees me on TV. And she sees when people ask pictures, and she always asks me why. And my answer is, because I'm a TikToker. She starts laughing.
I'm going to go Colombian on you.
No,
like in 3,
I
2,
don't want to.
really?
I don't want them
Olympian,
to start.
2-time world champion.
I gotta be honest. If I could choose, I'd rather choose them not box. There's an old saying I heard it from an NFL player, and he says, sorry that I forget the name, but he says, I play football so my kids don't play football. And that's the same thing with boxing. I box so they don't have to box. So I know, you can't give everything to your kids and you can't spoil them because you rob them the opportunity. But it's easier said than done. I try to spoil my kids. Not too much, but I don't know how to, never that balance. But, the way my dad did it, he wanted me to go to one sport, and I went through another one. So life never, if you were born to do it, you're gonna be born to do it. If that's your path, that's gonna be their path. So that's just not my case, everybody else's cases, I'll ask you the question. Did you ever think as a little girl to be where you're at now and recognize as the one of the most influential in boxing and meeting all these people that you met during your career? Did you ever think about when you were maybe 10 years old?
No, I was just in love. I had a massive crush with Muhammad Ali.
No? Well, see?
That was it.
That's it.
That was the end of that. Never did I think this. I am a glorified boxing fan that just got a chance to do a dream job.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. But I continue thinking that if it was meant for you, it was meant for you, and life put you in certain spots where you were. And if that's the case for young fighters out there, well, take advantage of it because it's a beautiful sport. Ups and downs. It could be cruel, but it could be very, very, very beautiful.
And with that being said, we have the opportunity. We know Fernando Vargas, and we know other fighters that have sons. But the likelihood of you being a world champion and having 3 sons that are in your line, and if you guys haven't seen the documentary, I beg of you to take a quick look at the Vargases. They actually have like a reality show.
The Dynasty.
The
Vargas Dynasty.
Exactly. And he was very respectful of his son's wish. He says, this is what I do. That's it. And if you want it, you're going to ask me. I'm not going to force you. And you're going to ask me. And all 3 sons decided they wanted to be fighters.
And it's a beautiful story. I mean, they still got a lot to learn. But they're very talented. But it's a beautiful story because I love seeing fathers with their sons because I grew up in that way. I know how having a father figure can help you accomplish your dreams. And I just love when I see the father supporting their children, not just in boxing, in anything, in school, and baseball, and basketball, and following your dream. You want to be a lawyer, but having your father back you up like Vargas does. I would have never thought when I was a kid looking at Vargas, the mean macho man, the mean Chicano,
Oh, yes.
the gangster look when you would just go up against Trinidad, and those fights inspired me like I can't express how much they inspired me. Having seen the type of father Fernando Vargas is right now is like how I would have never thought. I wouldn't have thought that we all have that soft spot. I've seen him get a little bit emotional
Yeah,
with his
he
children, and I love it. I love that fact. I gotta congratulate Fernando Vargas Sr. for being there for your children, because not a lot of fathers are like that. Not a lot of fathers. So I gotta take my hat off to Fernando Vargas and his 3 kids who are following their dreams. So
From Papas, Amadito, Maximiliano, a shout out to the most important person in that team, and I always say that, the wife, Martica. And then they have obviously their beautiful queen, the youngest daughter, who's their #1 cheerleader. And if you guys saw me waving, Eric Gomez from Golden Boy just passed by. So as he comes out from the WB office, I want to just do a quick recap in Spanish before he comes back. Cuando estamos hablando del boxeo, yo te puse aquí en Contra las Cuerdas. Tú eres papá de 2 niñas. Y te pregunté, cuando hablamos de las Yaquinabas, de las Torres, obviamente de Serrano, no te me vayas, Eric, because you're coming up. Dame 2 segundos. You can see right there, 2 seconds. Hi, Javi. No, pero te me vas. This is a podcast. We can do whatever. We're even smoking cigars. I
Y te
got him
falta el
smoking
puro, te
cigars.
falta el puro, tienes que darte el puro porque no puedo ser el único aquí.
Ser papá de boxeadores no es fácil. Así que te puse contra las cuerdas. Te dije, si tu hija, una de las dos, que you're bound to happen, te va a pasar. Dice, yo quiero soltar manos. Yo quiero hacer manoplas.
Entonces, soy sincero, si yo pudiera escoger, yo diría que no. Pero me pongo el ejemplo de mi papá y yo. Mi papá, o sea, la gente que no conoce a mi papá es una persona muy dura, muy estricta, un estilo muy militar, muy fuerte de carácter. Si esta persona como mi papá hizo todo lo posible para que no boxeara, él me metió en atletismo, en natación, en béisbol, no le gustaba el boxeo, él no quería que boxeara, él quería que fuera pelotero. Era muy malo para la pelota.
No, era shortstop.
No. Entonces, hizo todo lo posible porque, claro, como papá no quieres ver que golpeen a tu hijo. Aún siendo esa persona macho que acaba de describir, mi papá tan fuerte que él conoció en el barrio como el Cholo, como el fuerte, el
Valdez.
Baker, el Valdez. Todo en el barrio lo conoce mi papá, todo el mundo es muy respetado de la zona. Entonces, si esta persona tan fuerte tiene su corazón de que no quiero que le peguen a mi hijo, ¿qué voy a pensar yo si tengo a mis hijas? Claro que no quisiera, pero también sigo el ejemplo de mi papá. Si de alguna rara ocasión quisieran, pues no les puedo decir que no, porque pues estaría contradiciendo lo que siempre he dicho, es apoyar a tus hijos de toda manera y apoyarlos en lo que quieran. Si quieren ser abogados o abogadas, si quieren ser beisbolistas, softboleras, de voleibol, abogadas, no queda otra más que apoyarlos y apoyarlos, porque siempre he puesto ese ejemplo que yo le debo todo a mi papá por el apoyo que él me dio de niño. Entonces, pues claro que haría yo eso con mis niñas, pero si yo pudiera escoger, no lo haría. Y por eso me da gusto ver crecer el boxeo femenil, no porque quiero que mis hijas boxeen, sino porque quiero que tengan oportunidades. Si un día yo no estoy, cuando el día que no esté, quiero que tengan una oportunidad como todos se merecen, como una persona, una mujer se merece una oportunidad de crecer.
Y por eso nosotros aquí tuvimos en inglés, le hicimos un llamado a Fernando Vargas, porque de 3 hijos y una hija, los 3 le salieron boxeadores y la hija es la apoyadora de todo. Y obviamente Martica, el centro, el pilar.
Sí, la patrona.
La patrona, la mamá de los pollitos, porque no te sale 1 ni 2, y él, si no han visto el documental, ¿cómo se llama el documental?
Dinastía Vargas.
Dinastía Vargas.
Oh.
Cuando tú tienes a alguien como Papas, que así me tocó ver a Papas nacer, Papas, o sea, Fernando Jr., después tenemos a Amadito y por último a Maximiliano. No puede ser fácil decir, yo no los voy a empujar, pero si tú quieres ser campeón, tú me lo tienes que pedir a mí y yo voy a hacer todo lo necesario para llevarte a eso.
Fíjate, yo nunca me imaginé, cuando yo era un niño viendo las peleas, 2001, 2002 creo que fue, cuando...
2002 fue...
2002, Óscar de la Hoya.
No, Tito,
Tito fue, porque yo me acuerdo mucho. Oscar de la Hoya y con Tito, mirar Fernando Vargas, este cholo,
duro,
este carácter macho, persona que te va a matar arriba del ring. Esta persona, the bad boy, el malo.
Ferocious.
El malo. Verlo ahorita como papá me llena de emoción y hasta sentimiento, porque me recuerda a mi papá. Él tiene 3 hijos y los apoya a todos iguales, él está atrás de ellos y siempre me gusta reconocer eso como papá, porque no todos los papás hacen eso, no todos los papás hacen eso. Entonces cuando hay un papá que apoya a su hijo, siempre me gusta aplaudirle y agradecerle ser ese tipo de padre, porque, repito, no hay muchos como él y me ha tocado verlo un poquito emocional con sus hijos, esa persona mala, chicano, fuerte.
The pride of Oxnard.
Lo miro ahorita con su lado blandito, con sus hijos, y lo veo que los está apoyando mucho. Entonces me da mucho gusto. 3 hijos, no lo digo por decirlo, tienen talento, los 3 tienen talento, y me gusta verlos pelear, y qué bueno. O sea, normalmente, y si tenemos suerte, vemos un Costa Azul del hijo, un Chávez Jr. en su momento, una
Mostly.
Boxeadores que dejaron un legado, ver a sus hijos que también están haciendo lo mismo. Él tiene 3 y a los 3 los apoya. Entonces, me quito el sombrero para Fernando Vargas. Les deseo todo el éxito al mundo, eso, pero porque tienen con qué, pero tienen que seguir enfocados. Creo que, ¿quién mejor que su papá decirles que él pasó por ese camino?
Por
donde se
todo.
enfrentó a los mejores, cuando él era apenas...
Jory Boy Campas, ¿te acuerdas?
Jory Boy Campas,
Estaba
paisano
chiquito.
mío. Jory Boy y se coronó. En ese entonces fue el más joven,
En la 154.
154 libras en coronarse campeón mundial. O sea,
Respeto para los
no,
Vargas.
respeto, mucho respeto para esos, pero tienen un gran futuro, estar enfocados, repito, su papá es la persona perfecta para decirle eso.
Así es. Y con eso vamos a hacer una pequeña transición porque vamos a traer a alguien que aparte de que es uno de los, digamos, representantes de la compañía promotora hispana, que en realidad ha apoyado todo el talento hispano en los Estados Unidos de Golden Boy, que aparte de que crecimos juntos, yo soy un poquito mayor que él, pero igual, Eric Gómez, que es el titular de Golden Boy, lo vamos a obligar a que se siente aquí. So, and we're going to take this quick second to make a quick transition to bring not only perhaps the most representative of the Hispanic talent in the U.S., a great promoter, the head of, like we say, the daddy of the daddies, Golden Boys, Eric Gomez. Gomez. Eric, come on down. You can join us. You know, we're doing this in Spanish and English, right? Sí, tú puedes, ¿verdad? Mira.
All right.
So we just pulled him out of the golf course?
No, I didn't play.
Not today.
No.
Not today.
Not today.
Did you play golf on Monday?
On Monday for the tournament, yes.
How I'm not gonna say how bad did you do, but how bad did you do?
Did you win?
I'll say this, I didn't win.
Oh. Well, first of all, thank you for joining us. I know you're a very busy person.
Thank you.
And we are so happy that you made it all the way to Dominican Republic and for joining us here in the WBO family. It's been a long road. You and I know each other for a long time.
Yes.
And we were just talking about the evolution of the sport.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the Hispanic talent is so well represented with great, outstanding talent. Your position is one of those that you have to pick and choose how you're going to move somebody. And it's not an easy task.
No.
So kudos to you, kudos to Oscar
Thank you.
for being able to pull outstanding fights. We just saw the Zurdo fight. My hat's off for that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, obviously we're here to support Paco. Paco's great, one of the great presidents in our business for an organization, the WBO. He's been a big part of Golden Boy. He's helped us out throughout the years, make many champions, and we're happy to be here to support.
Let's backtrack a little bit. The transition from being part of the Oscar entourage, the friend, the companion, the support, and then being into a sport that is very competitive. Let's talk about Golden Boy on the side. Let's put it aside. As a friend, how challenging has it been to make those transitions for you?
We pretty much grew up together. We grew up in the business together. Ever since Oscar signed with Top Rank when he was an amateur and became pro and he signed with Top Rank, we made a lot of great relationships with Bob Arum, Bruce Trampler, some of the figureheads at Top Rank, and learned from them. Oscar knew way transition into being managers first. We started a managerial company first, and then we turned into promoters.
It's definitely been Oscar De La Hoya has definitely been an example for a lot of us fighters because he's been successful not only in the ring. People forget about how good he was in the ring, but as a businessman, as an example of life, because you just said it ends, and now it's everything he's done in his career. I just watched the documentary. It was an amazing documentary from Oscar De La Hoya. It made me realize a lot of things, and it's like Oscar De La Hoya is an inspiration for a lot of us fighters.
Yeah, there's a lot of pitfalls. There's a lot of pitfalls in life in general, more so when you're a figure, when you're someone that, you know, is in the spotlight as an athlete. And there's always people out there looking to take advantage. So, you know, when it comes to Oscar, a lot of the fighters that we work with, he was an inspiration, he was a hero to them. But at the same time now, as a business guy, as a business partner, he can give them so much advice.
So now we're going to say all that in Spanish. How about them apples? Porque Eric, yo conozco a Eric y yo sé que él ha estado al lado de Óscar desde el principio. Y la transición de ser parte de grupo de amigos a ser parte de digamos, no quiero decir advisor o guía, pero sí una persona de apoyo a lo largo de su carrera boxística, sino también después hacer la transición a la parte del negocio. ¿Qué tan difícil fue para ti esa transición?
Es difícil, crecer es difícil, obviamente crecer en cualquier negocio, en la vida, crecer. Pero para mí fue, Óscar me puso en una posición muy especial. Entonces yo tuve suerte porque me aceptó. Yo era un amigo, pero cuando él me aceptó para trabajar con él, yo aprendí, yo fui aprendiendo. Y lo bueno que él hizo conmigo, y hasta este día le agradezco a él, yo empecé desde abajo, yo empecé trabajando con amateurs. Yo fui el director de su gimnasio. Él tenía un gimnasio para niños. ¿Te acuerdas?
Sí, claro que me acuerdo.
Entonces, yo aprendí desde abajo, desde el principio. Yo estuve allí 4 años, fui el director del gimnasio de la Fundación de Óscar, trabajando con los niños, con los amateurs. Empecé a involucrarme un poco más con peleadores que teníamos que estaban sobresaliendo en los amateurs. Marshall Martínez, Steven Luébano, José Navarro, que era parte del equipo también. Y yo aprendí desde allí, desde abajo. Entonces fue una transición donde sí tuve que aprender más, mucho más. Y es muy diferente los amateurs a los profesionales. Pero Óscar me puso en esa posición y agradezco eso, que pude ver eso, pude tener experiencias que mucha gente no han podido.
Y obviamente la OMB ha sido una organización muy familiar. Una organización
fundamental para nosotros, fundamental. Porque cuando yo comencé con Golden Boy fui matchmaker y el primer campeón que yo hice, no me gusta usar esa palabra hice porque los peleadores hacen casi todo el trabajo.
Pero,
sí, apoyaste.
Pero el primer campeón que yo apoyé fue parte del WBO y Paco me ayudó y fuimos moviéndolo y se nos brindó la oportunidad de hacerlo campeón y lo hice campeón. Que ese fue Mike Anchondo, que era un peleador local en Los Ángeles. Luego de él fue Daniel Ponce de León, Johnny González, y empezó así. Y todos ellos fueron campeones WBO.
Really quick, do you ever wake up in the morning and you go, damn?
No.
Never?
No, I just, unfortunately in boxing you can't.
Really?
You can't. You just, what's next? And it's hard to, maybe one day when I'm older, a lot older, I'll be able to do that. But it's been a ride, and it's a fast ride, and you're so busy, and there's so many things you have to do that you finish a show and you're already working on the next one, and you're working on the next one, and you're working on what moves you're going to make for your fighters. And you look at the ratings and, okay, well, how can I move them up, and who can we target, who can he fight? You call the organizations and, okay, what has to be done so we can get them to number one? It's so tedious, time consuming that it's hard. It's hard to do that.
We always forget to thank guys like you
Yeah.
in the sport of boxing, because you set right now make, and in a way it is, because no fighter out there became a world champion from nothing. You always need that. You need help from somebody. In these cases, someone like you, from like Golden Boy, Oscar Valdez, it's a team that makes the fighter as well. So for you're not maybe giving yourself a lot of credit, but no fighter out there gets there by himself. You need guys like you who continue, like you said, on the next move. What are you going to look for the fighter? And that's what makes boxing beautiful. That there's a lot of people who do care about the fighter, not just not like a lot of managers out there who just want to maybe make a quick buck from them. Who really care for the fight. So I gotta congratulate you and thank you for taking care for the fighters, because at the end of the day they risk their lives and they need people who actually care, like in your case.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, it's a lot. It's like playing chess almost, because just like you have your stable of fighters. There's other promoters. There's other managers, and they're trying to make the same moves as well. So in many cases, you have to look 2-3 steps ahead. I had some great teachers, and I've been fortunate to make some relationships with people that were very influential in my career. Bruce Trampler. A lot of people forget about Bruce Trampler, but
he's the OG.
He gave me some very, very good advice early on when I started. So he was very important and instrumental in my life. Don Chargan.
Oh my God,
famous Hall of Fame
rest in
promoter.
peace.
He took me under his wing, gave me a lot of advice. He helped me. Another person is Ricardo Maldonado.
Yes.
Who was one of my first teachers, and
the old one, right?
Yeah, Ricardo Maldonado, the dad. When I first met him, I mean, he was on top of the world. He had Marco Antonio Barrera. He had all these great champions that he was working with, and we became friendly, and he gave me a lot of good advice. He helped me out in my career, but yeah, you have to be careful. There's a lot of pitfalls too. There's a lot of pitfalls. It's a big responsibility because a fighter's life is in your hands, his career, their hopes, their dreams. You can't fight for them, but if you set it up correctly for them, they'll succeed.
Priceless.
They'll
That's
succeed.
priceless. That is, and going back to, I remember when the company started as a promotional company. At the time, at that elite level, you're the only Hispanic owned and handled Hispanic fighters. And I could be wrong, but at this point in time, it's the only Hispanic owned promotional company in the US at that elite level that can actually bring fighters to that platform of exposure. So that opens the door for a lot of young men and women that are coming up the ranks, and they see you guys as that shining light. There's no language barrier, cultural barrier, because like it or not, these are interpersonal relationships. And that to me, looking at the fishbowl from the outside in, is key. The key to success is that relationship.
Yeah, you're right. I've been very fortunate that I speak Spanish.
Exactly.
It opened up a whole another world for me. And I've been able to be very successful speaking Spanish. Look, I mean, the majority of the fighters are Latinos, I would say. If you look at the history of boxing, there's been some great fighters in the US, in Europe, in Asia. But if you see Latin America, all of Latin America, and the Caribbean out here, I mean, they're all Spanish speaking. So that opened up a whole new world for me. And I was pocho, I didn't speak that good Spanish. But because of boxing, and I was just talking to our matchmaker, Javier Razo, and I was telling him that,
Shout out to
Spanish,
Razo, who's too shy.
speaking Spanish opened up a whole new world, and I've learned a lot more Spanish. Sometimes depending on who I'm talking to, I might have a Puerto Rican accent. Sometimes I have a Chilango accent.
You sometimes even pull Colombian accents.
De vez en cuando.
So, para hacer una recapitulación rápida, desde que yo son clave, porque lo que estamos viendo es el bienestar del boxeador. Y si el boxeador no se siente cómodo y si hay malos entendimientos, obviamente se basa en el idioma y la cultura.
Sí.
Y eso ha sido, yo creo, parte de la clave del éxito de Golden Boy.
Sí, fundamental, obviamente. Y hemos podido sobresalir en Estados Unidos por los latinos, por los peleadores latinos que hemos promovido. Es diferente. Obviamente hemos tenido peleadores americanos, europeos, asiáticos y todo, pero en Estados Unidos los que mueven son los latinos.
Y bajo esa misma línea, yo sé que venimos acá siempre con miras a abrir espacios para boxeadores.
Sí.
Así que entre nosotros aquí nadie más se va a dar cuenta. Yo sé que mañana es un día clave, un día, como estabas hablando, de parte de la lucha y el cometido es poner a tus boxeadores en posiciones claves, como jugando ajedrez, como dijiste.
Sí.
¿Con quién y a favor de quién estamos jugando aquí a favor de Golden Boy?
Bueno, mira, ahorita en este momento representamos 3 campeones. Óscar Collazo, minimum weight,
sí.
que lo trabajamos con Coto Promotions, somos socios, un gran campeón, se acaba de coronar, ya hizo una defensa en Puerto Rico, vamos a apoyarlo mañana en cualquier cosa que decide el WBO. Yocasta Valle,
Sí.
que va a defender ahora su título noviembre 4 en su país, en Costa Rica, es una gran peleadora y
Breaking news.
buscando unificar con Ceniza Estrada,
Wow.
que sería una gran pelea. También tenemos a Marlene
Buena pelea.
Esparza, que es campeona de varios cintos, que también vamos a apoyar, que es campeona de la OMB. Pero una de las grandes razones que estamos aquí es para apoyar a Alexis Rocha, que fue mandatorio de Crawford, y se hizo un lado para que Crawford pelee con Spence, que fue una gran pelea. Y tenemos entendido que Crawford es muy probable que se va a mover a otra división arriba,
154.
No sabemos, es decisión de él, pero si es que lo va a hacer, queremos apoyar a Alexis Rocha, que pelee por el título vacante. Entonces Alexis va a pelear la próxima semana una gran pelea con el número 5, Giovanni Santillán. Santillán. Que los dos tienen gran records.
Me encanta esa pelea.
Gran pelea el número 1 contra el número 5. Entonces le vamos a pedir a Paco si nos puede apoyar. Y quizás puede ser un título vacante, un interino, algo. Los dos se lo merecen.
Sí, sin duda se lo merecen los dos. He seguido las carreras de ambos.
De ambos.
Ambos, bueno, pelearon uno de San Diego, ¿no?
Es de San Diego, sí.
Me acuerdo que yo tuve la oportunidad de hacer sparring con él antes de irme a los Juegos Olímpicos. Tremendo zurdo.
Sí.
Es bueno.
Es buen peleador.
Pero Rocha Rocha también.
Está mejorando Rocha, está mejorando bastante.
Si no llega a pelear por el campeonato, bueno, porque Crawford, ¿quién sería la mandatoria? Si sería número 1, número 2, ¿con quién pelearía Rocha?
Bueno, Rocha ahorita es número 1. Él fue la mandatoria. Se
¿Número
ordenó,
2 sería?
El número 2 se parece que va a pelear en otra organización.
Entonces ya se complican las cosas del número 1 o 2.
Exactamente. No se puede, pero es el número 5 allí. Y los otros no están disponibles. Y parece que uno perdió. Entonces, vamos a ver si nos apoyan. Y otro es Jaime Munguía. Obviamente que estamos trabajando con Sanfer, con Jaime
Gran
Munguía.
talento.
Es el número 1 ahorita. El supercampeón es Canelo. No creo que vayan a ordenar esa pelea. Quisiéramos, pero obviamente si nos brinda la oportunidad Canelo, con mucho gusto Jaime le gustaría pelear con Canelo.
Mexicano contra mexicano.
Sí.
Eso siempre
Son
es...
las mejores peleas. ¿qué no?
Totalmente.
Son las mejores peleas.
Sin lugar a
Son las
dudas.
mejores peleas, sí.
Y estamos hablando precisamente de ese poderío y la entrega al espíritu del guerrero mexicano, sin faltarle respeto a ninguna otra cultura, pero simplemente yo creo que es con lo que nosotros crecemos. Y cómo se compara la fiesta que se crea cuando tienes 2 mexicanos subiéndose al ring.
Es orgullo, es mucho orgullo. Y los dos peleadores saben que si pierden es muy difícil para ellos porque la historia en México, la gran historia de campeones y Y o sea, es mucho, mucho orgullo que se siente cuando dos mexicanos pelean. Y tú sabes que los mexicanos vienen a pelear, están dispuestos a morir en el ring, como dicen. Primero Dios que no pasa eso, pero,
Ay, no.
pero sí, y tienen esa mentalidad. Ellos van para todo. Y siempre es un espectáculo. Siempre es un espectáculo. Entonces yo he estado involucrado en peleas así, he hecho peleas así, y para mí son los mejores.
Bueno, tú sabes. At first hand.
Siempre que hay dos boxeadores mexicanos, siempre hay buen espectáculo. Jaime Munguía es un tremendo peleador y tiene un gran futuro por adelante. Especialmente algo que me gusta de todo esto es que Óscar Valdez fue boxeador y él sabe lo que se siente. Entonces, yo creo que es el único promotor que siente una empatía para los boxeadores y algo que los arropa, los protege en ese lado. Entonces, hay que reconocer eso también de parte de Óscar Valdez, que tenga esos grandes peleadores, el Zurdo Ramírez, Jaime Munguía, boxeadores mexicanos que yo sé que tienen un gran futuro. Y los que van a enfrentar, lo que me mencionas de Rocha contra Santillán. Entonces, son peleas que el público le va a gustar.
So you're going to share all that with us. This is breaking news right here because obviously you come here and there's the end of the promoter that has to move the pieces, like you mentioned, like a chess game. So I'm going to ask you again, what pieces are we looking forward to seeing you move that could, finish 2023 with a bang for Golden Boy?
We have currently 3 champions of the WBO, so first and foremost, we're here to represent them. See what the status is, whether they have to do mandatories or not. One of them is Oscar Collazo, minimum weight from Puerto Rico. Nice young man, very exciting, very good fighter. We have Yocasta Valle from Costa Rica that's fighting November 4th. We're just getting ready to announce it. She's going to defend her title in her home country. Very excited for her. She's a very good fighter. Beautiful girl, but she can fight. I mean, let me tell you, she's tough. And she's like a little machine. She just doesn't stop. Marlene Esparza also, U.S. Olympian, medalist, and I believe silver medalist for the Olympics for the United States. She's also a champion, unified champion, so we're going to represent her. But, primarily my number one goal is Alexis Rocha. Alexis Rocha is fighting Giovanni Santillán October 21st, okay, which is not this Saturday, the following Saturday. And I've been told that Crawford's going to make an appearance. He's going to be here. Mm-hmm. And it's very likely that he's going to announce that he's moving up in weight.
That was a surprise, 154.
Yeah, if he does, and it's at his discretion. He's a great fighter. He deserves all the accolades. He deserves to do whatever he wants. But if he does, we're going to propose that fight becomes for the vacant title, Alexis Rocha versus Santillán.
Which is number 1 and number 5.
Number 5, yeah. Number 2 and 3, I don't think they're available. I don't know for sure. I know one of them lost.
Santillán is number 4. Thank you,
Number 4.
Razo.
There you go. Thank you,
That's
Razo.
what you Raz.
Okay.
Thank you, Razo.
Okay. When I made the fight, he was number 5. But yeah, so along with Carl Moretti from Top Rank, who's here representing Santillán, we're representing Rocha. We're going to petition the WBO for either a vacant title or an interim title, whatever they decide. And then obviously Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia is number 1 right now in the world. Itching to fight any of the big names. Canelo's a super champion. Obviously, Canelo gets to pick whoever he wants. No one's ever going to force him to fight anybody. But we would love the opportunity to fight Canelo.
Mexican versus Mexican, we were just talking about how explosive and how, and I don't mean any disrespect, but in terms of the party, the feeling I don't even know the exuberance that comes when you have 2 Mexican warriors walking into the ring. How could you describe that?
It's great. It's beautiful. I've been lucky to be involved in those fights, and it's a feeling like no other because it's almost like the crowd is split. Mm-hmm. It's split, and there's a lot of pride involved. And for both fighters, most Mexican fighters, and they'll say it, I'm ready to die in the ring. So, you put that emotion behind it, the heart, the energy. You feel it with the fans too. You feel it with the crowd as well. They're very emotional when it comes to it. But style-wise, they're always great fights. They're always great fights style-wise because most Mexican fighters are very, very aggressive, and you're going to get a lot of action. So you imagine fighting a mirror.
That is true.
Yeah. So.
And nothing better than to fight for a flag, your flag.
Exactly.
Oof.
Exactly.
It's brilliant. And nobody knows that better than you. It just happened to you just a couple of months ago.
And it's not just to me, every time you got two Mexican fighters inside the ring, there's always fireworks. But especially a fighter like Jaime Munguia, you put that guy with anybody, it's gonna be a great fight. There hasn't been one boring fight that I've seen Munguia. Munguia's a beast. Yeah. I can see him with anybody, and he got a crowd too. He's got a following crowd who support him, and so whenever Munguia fights, definitely sure it's going to be a good fight.
You know, one of the things when I was growing up, we would talk about the Mexican ability. We would always talk about the smaller weights all the way up to maybe 154, especially with Fernando Vargas. And then all of a sudden we have Mexicans going up to 168, 175, and we're like, what the? We have ginormous Mexicans. What's going on? Talk about the evolution of the Mexican fighter.
Yeah, there's, I guess a lot of the, Mexican athletes that normally go to baseball or basketball or whatever they play, volleyball,
football.
In some cases, football, soccer, they're getting more and more attracted to boxing.
Zurdo Ramirez.
Zurdo Ramirez, he's ginormous.
Exactly. So,
he did beautiful in cruiserweight. That's his weight.
That's his weight. And he looked a lot stronger, faster. It was killing him to make 175. And he's a big kid.
I like him better in this weight class than the other ones.
Agreed.
He looks more natural for him.
Yes.
He looks more natural. He's faster than his opponents. He's still got the size. He's got everything.
And the jab is still there.
It's beautiful, yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, Andy Ruiz, despite his size, he's a shorter guy. But, like Zurdo is just...
They're coming. The big guys are coming. Watch, they're coming. And it's a testament to the great Mexican champions we have. Like Canelo, like Oscar, like, a lot of these Mexican champions, they're motivating these kids that are a lot bigger now and to get involved in boxing. And you have these big events. That's why, like we always say, you've heard Oscar say it recently, like the best have to fight the best. Mm-hmm. That's going to help grow the sport. When you do these fights where you know who's going to win, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. You can't always make the big fights, but if, you got to make them competitive because that's what's going to get people involved. The fans are going to get excited. The younger generations are going to be inspired, and everybody wins. When you make the best against the best, everybody wins. The TV wins, the promoters win, the fighters win, everything.
The fans are the ones that win the most.
The fans, exactly.
So we always hear that boxing is dying. I have yet to see that, but I want to see what you have to say about that.
I've been hearing that since I started.
Exactly.
and I've been doing this 26 years, so I've been hearing that since I started, and I've been hearing that MMA's coming, this and that. I'll tell you what, the UFC did UFC 100, which was the biggest show ever. They were going to spend a lot of money to promote it. It was a pay-per-view. We went the same night with Mayweather versus Juan Manuel Marquez. The UFC did like 200,000 buys. We did 1.2.
Thank you.
So,
Mic drop, Mamba style.
Boxing's been around for over 150 years.
Organized.
Exactly.
Organized.
Exactly. So, it's going to die, it's not going to die. It's going to continue. It's going to continue, and, you're always going to get fans, but they got to be competitive fights. They got to be good fights. And if you put the good fights together, the fans will come out.
Oh, we're coming out.
And it's because De La Hoya thinks like a fighter.
Yeah.
He was a fighter who never ducked nobody, who fought the best in their time. I repeat, people got to remember that about Oscar De La Hoya. He was a beast.
And he says,
and of course,
and Oscar says that. He says, look, a loss doesn't signify that. A lot of people don't realize Muhammad Ali had 7 losses. People don't, he's considered widely as the best boxer ever. Mm-hmm. Julio Cesar Chavez had
89-0, and then
losses.
he lost to the less probable ever.
Exactly.
And then he went back and beat him twice.
Exactly. So if you fight the best and you make a good account of yourself, you can be great. You can be great. Having a 0 doesn't mean you're going to be great. You know, even in any other sport, you know, football, basketball, whatever, they're not undefeated. You know, they can win the
Lakers
Super
were
Bowl.
not undefeated.
You can win the Super Bowl by having five losses. You know, it's just, it's got to change. It's got to change. In many ways, Mayweather brought that about, making the whole, you
50
know,
and
having
0.
Yeah, 50 and 0. You have to have the O. You have to have the O. You know, Mayweather's a great fighter, but Mayweather-Pacquiao should have happened a long time before it
I
happened.
agree.
Mayweather-Margarito should have happened. Mayweather, you name it, Cotto should have happened before. I mean, you know, when you fight them when they're in their prime, it's the best.
Rápidamente, nunca habíamos visto en mi tradición, yo vengo cubriendo boxeo hace mucho tiempo y siempre decíamos que el boxeo mexicano, el boxeo hispano en general, cubría de los pesos mínimos como hasta las 154 y de repente tenemos estos latinos, hispanos representando el boxeo en los pesos máximos, desde completos, cruceros, semicompletos. ¿Cómo ha evolucionado el deporte desde mi época cuando yo estaba apenas haciendo mis pininos? Es increíble la evolución que ha tenido el boxeo hispano.
Sí, sí, están creciendo más y yo pienso que muchos de los boxeadores que están empezando ahora están motivados por los gran campeones que tenemos hoy en día. Se están motivando más y en vez de ir a otros deportes como fútbol o béisbol, básquet, voleibol, están yendo al boxeo por los gran campeones, por los gran eventos. Y eso es algo que tenemos nosotros que hacer como promotores, seguir haciendo las peleas buenas, las peleas que atraen a la generación que viene, porque así es como vamos a seguir creciendo el deporte.
Y con eso dicho, cuando tenemos esa representación tan amplia, abre la puerta no solo para más talento, sino obviamente más peleas y más exposición.
Sí, exactamente, exactamente, pero tienen que ser peleas competitivas, peleas que tienen interés, que hay interés, que los fans van a tener interés, la televisora, la gente va a pagar, va a gastar, pero tienen que ser peleas buenas.
Y como en algunas veces que hemos oído por mucho tiempo, la gente dice, bueno, el boxeo está muriendo, ya el interés no es el mismo. ¿Qué dices tú al respecto?
El boxeo ha estado organizado 100, 150 años y siempre he escuchado eso desde que yo comencé mi carrera. Tengo 26 años haciendo esto. Siempre he escuchado eso, pero no es cierto, no es cierto. Hemos visto que cuando las peleas grandes se dan, la gente va a pagar y va a sobresalir el deporte. Acabamos de hacer Ryan García con Tank Davis, que fue una gran pelea, gran pelea. Y los números no mienten. Fue el pago por evento quinto más grande de la historia de pago por evento.
¡Wow!
El quinto más grande de la historia. Generó tanto dinero.
¿Me vas? ¿En serio?
Entonces, muchos dicen pago por evento está muerto, muchos dicen el boxeo está muerto, pero cuando tú enfrentas dos peleadores de nombre que son buenos, que peleen, es un evento y todos ganan.
Creo que tienes que agradecer también a Óscar de la Hoya porque él piensa como peleador. Él piensa como peleador, repito, lo dije en inglés. Él se enfrentó a lo mejor en su momento y nunca le sacó la vuelta a nadie. Entonces, ponte en el lugar de Óscar de la Hoya, él quiere ver estas peleas duras en su momento. Por eso hace poco tiró ese mensaje de que se unan todos, que se hagan peleas en su momento que la gente quiere ver, por el bien del boxeo. Yo repito lo que dice, el boxeo, por mucho tiempo se ha escuchado que el boxeo está muerto, yo no lo he visto así. La pelea de Ryan García contra Gervonta fue grandiosa, y ese fue como que el inicio de 2023. Han habido buenas peleas todo este año, ¿sí? Ahora lo que viene en 2024, más con esa mentalidad, Óscar, la que se enfrentan los mejores. Vamos a lo mismo, el tener una derrota no significa nada, los grandes perdieron. Entonces, hacer que los mejores se peleen con los mejores, lo acabamos de ver con Chávez Crawford y Errol Spence. Creo que va cambiando un poquito eso y va evolucionando el boxeo otra vez a como era antes. Entonces, creo que el boxeo va por un buen camino.
Y lo comentaron ustedes, por mucho tiempo se guardaba ese 0 en derrotas. Y en realidad, yo sinceramente no recuerdo los récords de nadie. Yo simplemente recuerdo ese sentimiento que me queda de la pelea. O sea, marcamos mucho el 50-0 de Floyd Mayweather. Pero en realidad, Julio llegó a 89-0 y después perdió con el menos probable. So, el 0 es algo que se tiene que guardar desde tu punto de vista.
No. Lo dije ahorita en inglés, Muhammad Ali, muchos no se dan cuenta que Muhammad Ali tuvo 6 derrotas, 6 derrotas. Julio César Chávez también, todos los grandes han perdido. Eric Morales tuvo derrotas, gran campeón mexicano. Óscar, obviamente, pero son adorados, son ídolos, porque se enfrentaron a todos, se enfrentaron a los mejores. Tuvieron victorias, tuvieron derrotas, pero fueron espectáculos. Muchos niños no se acuerdan de un récord de un boxeador, pero
¿No?
sí se acuerdan de los eventos, de las peleas. Yo de niño, la primera pelea que me acuerdo viendo, que fue una gran pelea, fue Roberto Durán con Sugar Ray Leonard.
Punto. La primera o la segunda.
Y la primera, y mi mamá estaba bien contenta porque un latino le ganó al gran campeón americano,
Olímpico.
olímpico. Y yo ni me acuerdo de los records, no me acuerdo qué eran los records, no me acuerdo nada de eso, pero me acuerdo del evento, me acuerdo de Mano de Piedras, Roberto Durán, que fue un gran campeón, uno de los mejores en la
Gran
historia.
persona. Saludo para Manos de Piedra.
Sí, el cholo. Pero sí, y eso es lo que la gente no entiende. Si yo le digo a un niño ahorita, ¿conoces a Canelo? Sí. ¿Lo viste pelear? Sí. ¿Qué es su récord?
Cero.
No sé, pero es un gran campeón. Y eso es lo que se le queda en la mente de los niños, de las generaciones. Piénsalo.
¿Es verdad?
Nosotros
Lo digo yo que trabajo en esto.
nosotros que trabajamos en esto, es nuestro trabajo saber los records.
Sí.
Pero para un niño, un fan o cualquier persona, van a decir, oh, Óscar Valdez, sí, lo vi pelear, wow, qué pelea que dio. Cuando peleó con Berchel, wow, knockout fulminante. ¿Qué records tenían? No sé, pero ese knockout me acuerdo como si fue ayer. Eso es la clave. Ese es el detalle allí. Dos gran campeones se enfrentaron, dieron espectáculo. Los records no valen nada. Eso no. Sí vale, obviamente, para los ratings y para los
Para
campeonatos.
las negociaciones internas.
Exactamente. Pero para los fans en general eso no importa.
Pues yo sé que eres un hombre muy ocupado.
Gracias.
Y que sacaste el tiempo para venir a compartir con nosotros. Estamos pendientes, octubre 21, en The Zone.
Sí,
¿A qué
sí.
horas comienza la primera campana?
5 de Los Ángeles.
5 de Los Ángeles, 8
5
tiempo
PM.
del Este.
Sí.
Vamos a estar pendientes.
Gracias.
Y obviamente, siempre un placer tenerte. Siempre un
Gracias.
placer saber que somos familia.
Gracias.
Es un gusto, la verdad.
Thank you.
Verte crecer, ver la compañía crecer y continuar, no solo haciendo campeones, porque eso es muy pocos los que llegan, pero simplemente darle la oportunidad a todos estos jóvenes que están subiendo, ¿no?
Gracias, muchas gracias.
Cambia la vida de un peleador. Creo que
gracias,
tiene que
Óscar.
significar mucho para el boxeador, para ustedes, saber que
Gracias.
ustedes han cambiado la vida de muchos peleadores.
Muchas gracias. Gracias.
So I know you're busy, and I know you took some time to come and chat with us. It's always a pleasure and a real honor to have you and to still be considered part of the family after all these years.
Thank you, thank
and I
you.
take this opportunity to really thank you, because it's not just about making champions, because we know those are far few between. That's why they become champions.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that you give all these young men and women, especially the ladies, I have to shout out to all the ladies that you have
Yes.
given so many opportunities to shine and, just make their own path.
Thank
So
you.
I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your time, for your
Gracias.
dedication and your commitment.
Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me, and always a pleasure.
We're going to take a short break and we're going to come back. We're going to talk about more nuances about the revisions in the, not laws. What are they again? They change the names.
The
The bylaws. right?
Reviews?
The bylaws,
Is it bylaws?
Yeah, the bylaws, yeah.
The bylaws in boxing?
Yeah. Yeah. Rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations. We're going to talk about low blows, because God knows we've been talking about low blows for like 5 days. So don't miss out on that. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
And we're back all the way from Punta Cana, 36th Annual Congress in the WBO. And I promised you guys that we were going to go through all the details of the revisions of, it's not the bylaws, it's the, what is it?
ABC rules.
ABC rules, of course.
And guidelines.
And guidelines. See, that was the word that we were looking for, guidelines. And we need the experts. Of course, I'm in great company, starting with my two-time world champ, Olympian, Óscar Valdez, and we needed him because, of course, I can't do this on my own, but the one man that has been commissioned to make all these new revisions clear for us, Russell Mora, good friend of the house. You were a referee, long-standing fundamental element in the Nevada State Commission, and now you're working very closely with the WBO and obviously with the ABC.
That's correct, yes.
Thank you for joining us, Russ. It's
Absolutely.
such a pleasure.
It's my pleasure to be here. I'm excited that you guys are enthused to learn the rules. Too many times people just guess at the rules, or they say about what they heard of the rules, but they haven't got a clear understanding. I've been asked many times recently that why did we change these rules? We didn't change anything, we just clarified things. Today, with information and technology, everything is now improved. We have electric cars. 50 years ago, to think about electric cars would have been impossible. And here we are. Homes are safer. We have GFCI protection, AFCI protection. We have smoke detectors, carbon monoxide testers. So boxing is no different. It becomes better with information and technology, and here we are.
Yes. And the one thing we've been talking about for, I'd say, a couple months is low blows. I say something, others say something else, Oscar saw something else, but we just see things.
Right.
We just see things, and obviously they're filtered through TV.
That's
right.
right.
So low blows for the longest time. My standard was the ref comes in right before the first bell and says, from here up is good, from here down is low blow.
That's correct.
But you had a beautiful way to express exactly what's going on now, to not state what a low blow is, but to clarify what a low blow is.
Well, a couple of things. The confusion is waistline, bout line, below the bout. What does that mean? There's too, it's too broad, and that's what we needed to clarify. So what we did is we put it under a microscope, and now we've got it a lot more clear. I want to first say that in regards to low blow, that in basketball or football, if you step on the line, you're out. In tennis, if the ball hits the line, it's fair. Well, boxing is like tennis. Any punch that's on the line is fair. Therefore, we clarified the low blow from not saying waistline, bout line, any of this. What we're saying now, just to clarify this, is that it's from your hip to hip. We used to even say that it was through the navel. However, with that said, sometimes the navel just is higher than your hips. It's a fact. I've been a referee where a fighter came into the ring and his trunks were high and his belly button was above his trunks. So we used hip to hip, and if you put a straight line across, imaginary line, that is the established waistline.
So I'm just going to be a regular fan. How do you establish the waistline? Because you just mentioned you have fighters that have the navel up here, so obviously
yes.
the hip line is going to be perhaps a little high. So do you go on a particular basis? Is this based on the individual?
It's probably based individually. However, it's pretty custom to say that anything on the trunks is a foul. Anything on the bout line is fair. You can work the bout line. That bout line's a fair game if the trunks, in fact, are above the hip line. You know, if the trunks are below the hip line, now we're talking something different. But typically now the trunks are a fair punch. Now, boxers, help yourself. When you come in with trunks that are all the same color, waistline and trunks, it's harder for even us to establish where that punch landed. But if you have a different color waistband than you do the trunks, it helps us to establish where that punch landed.
So that's a recommendation. Look, that,
That would,
yes.
I mean, most boxers actually do that, but there have
Yes.
been cases, more
Yes,
old
yes.
school boxing where it was all the same color. But to to make it a little bit more clear or easier, it has to do a lot to do with the referee's criteria as well, right?
That's right. That's right.
Because every time I've been stepping in the ring, that you've come up to me and referees come up, from here up it's fair. From here, the basic.
That's right.
But it's to the criteria to see if it's too high because of the belly, or depends on the fighter how high he puts it. Is to criteria to see if it's that low or not.
That's actually correct, because remember back in the days like when the Lakers played and NBA was new, these trunks were about that big.
Yes, I remember.
Their legs looked like their legs were like 8 feet tall.
I remember
Yes.
those days.
But now these basketball players, their trunks are a lot bigger, and boxers the same thing. My dad's trunks, he fought at 135 pounds, and I fought at 139. I wanted to wear his trunks so bad, but they were too small. It had been funny to wear those trunks. They were too small. And so
You
that's
would be
what's
wearing
happening.
hot pants.
That's what it looked like. But that's why. It's not necessarily that every referee has a different criteria. It's just that every fighter's trunks are just fit just a little different, made a little bit different. So we try to establish that belt line when we bring them to the center of the ring. Right here, I'm going to let you work. I might even say, so that everybody understands, these trunks are high. Anything below this line here is a foul. I'm going to let you work this belt line area, or I'm going to let you work this area.
So
Yes.
that's the verbiage
That's
that should
correct.
be utilized.
That's correct.
But it
That's
is
correct.
utilized. From
Yes.
every time you've stepped in the
Yes.
dressing room, referees explain where it's okay, where it's
That's
not
correct.
okay. So us fighters already have a little. Well, it's kind of basic. You shouldn't hit there. That's a very common rule.
Right.
So I think they do explain it very well.
do,
What I
yes.
didn't know was how the example you put with the tennis ball.
Yes,
It hits.
yes.
It's a foul, but
Yes.
it's not a low blow.
That's correct.
Rhetorical question.
Okay.
We have a punch that hits on the belt a little bit, like drifting at the lower edge
Okay.
of the waistband.
Okay.
Is that fair?
If the tennis ball hits the line in any way, shape, or form, is it fair? That's the
Yes.
answer.
Oh.
It's fair.
That's a perfect example
Yeah.
to put.
Yes.
So
yes.
see,
so much
that's
easier.
what makes it clear, because
Yes.
I mean, and
Yes.
again, we don't have
Right.
the vantage point to know exactly where it hits, so we just have the blurry vision of a replay.
That's correct.
And usually it's a still coming from a video, and it just doesn't look quite as clear.
And also, what Kim opinion is through the referee's criteria as well. But that's why the replay is very necessary in these cases, right?
Yes.
That's
yes.
true.
Or to be immediate.
In Las Vegas, Nevada, we have instant replay that will cover this situation in detail. To my knowledge, we're the only commission that does that, but other commissions now are starting to follow suit. But I wanted to back up a minute, because I think to start out to say is that the requirement, I've had people ask me, does a fighter wear a cup? Yes, a fighter wears a cup. And guess what? It's not that athletic cup that most people are familiar with. This cup is foul-proof. It's a foul-proof cup. Foul-proof means that. I've been hit low many times as a fighter, and 90% of the time I didn't feel anything. My mind says it should hurt because it just hit me low. My mind says react, but it didn't hurt because my foul-proof cup did what it's supposed to do. Now, there's exceptions. If you go underneath the cup,
Or
that's
side, the side.
or if you hit sideways, those two ways are going to hurt. Yes,
Yes, those are gonna hurt.
Or I'm sorry, there's three ways. If your foul-proof cup doesn't fit properly. But guess what? Whose responsibility is it to have a foul-proof cup? I would not wear a cup that didn't fit properly. My cup I would tap it myself to make sure that I was fine. Yeah.
Agreeing.
Some of
that's-
them just doesn't sound right, but yes.
I know it did sound bad. Okay, let's cut that out.
But it was funny because you mentioned something like that you knew there was a low blow, but you didn't feel the pain.
So I got one of my favorite fights was when I got my jaw broken. It was a very tough fight. By the 10th round, I was very tired, and Scott hit me a low blow, and I knew what the pain was coming. I was
Yes.
explaining that the pain doesn't come immediately; it comes a couple of seconds later. So by the time I was already whining about it, I realized when I was already in her knee, it was a low blow.
Right,
but
right,
it didn't
right.
hurt. It didn't hurt because
Yes,
there was
yes.
a well-protected cup.
Yes.
And by the time the pain's coming, and it was like, okay, no pain's coming. But it was still a low blow. So
Yeah,
I took
yeah.
advantage of the system where it was, they gave me a couple of seconds. I didn't take the full 5 minutes because
Right.
I don't like those. It was just a couple of seconds, maybe 30, 40 seconds of recovery because I knew my opponent could have been hurt as well.
Right,
So I didn't
right.
want to take too much time because I'm also giving him time.
Smart.
But back to the same thing you said, when we get hit, we
That's right.
automatically start kind of
Yes.
complaining because we know that the
It's
pain is going
supposed to hurt.
is going to come
Yes.
eventually. And then
Yes.
you realize, okay, I'm good.
That's
then we
right.
get to go back out again. But there are sessions where I've been hit with my same cup in sparring session, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
extremely painful. So,
Right, right.
so there has been cases.
You don't wear a
Yes,
cup when you're
yes.
sparring?
Oh, always, but it's
Always.
the same cup. So
Yeah.
my point is that just because you got that well-protected cup doesn't mean getting hit a low blow is not going to hurt.
Right.
It hurts.
Right.
But a lot of times, like you explained, at times with fighters, we get hit and we think it's coming. We already, because it was a low blow, we take a knee expecting the pain. Then the pain doesn't come because it was well protected. Then we get back up and we continue fighting. So those two examples.
Your point is spot on because that's why it's a foul. Because in most cases it may not hurt, but guess what? In some cases it will, but that's why it's a foul, and that's why it's declared a foul. But back to another point you made is that a fighter who has been fouled has up to 5 minutes. It's not an automatic. You have 5 minutes because imagine if a fight every time you had 5 minutes to recover on a foul, the fight would last 3 hours.
That would be
So
like the last 3 minutes of a tight game in the NBA.
Yes. So it's you have up to 5 minutes, but normally you the fighter wants to fight, continue, and you get the fight to resume as soon as reasonably possible.
And we've had cases where the fighter gets a foul, gets a low blow, and then they start walking, and then they start walking. You're going 1 minute, 2 minutes, and
Yes.
as a commentator, it's like, and then, and what are we waiting
Yes.
for? And of course, me being a female, I can understand, but I cannot relate. So when you're talking that the cup actually protects and there's no pain, then we see all these guys like going on the knee. So that's all theater?
I honestly can't I can't say what they feel or don't feel. But I do believe sometimes it might be exaggerated or it, or...
So
Yes.
I don't mean to be putting you against the ropes here, but do you know, dude, you're just pulling my leg here. You just want to break.
I think sometimes it's the way they play it off. If they overdo it, I think he's overdoing it. But like Oscar said a minute ago, when you get hit, that first impact, your mind tells you, oh, that's going to hurt. Damn, that's going to hurt. And the pain doesn't quite come. If it hits flush,
Yeah,
not sideways or
section.
underneath, but it hits flush. So yeah, I have to wonder sometimes if, but nevertheless, it's a foul. So the referee's obligation is to declare it a foul, and the fighter has up to 5 minutes to recover. So those are the rules, and we can't question whether or not he was actually hurt or not. Even if we brought him to the doctor can't
Say.
verify whether or not he's hurt. So
Touch them.
yeah.
No, no.
Yes.
And, but have you, talking about your very long experience in multiple world championship fights, have you ever found yourself thinking, okay, I'm going to give you a minute. Come on, let's get going.
Many times, but my hat's off to these fighters, though. They get in the ring, they do their very best. Even if a fighter fought 2 4-rounders in all his life, he's been in the ring, and that's a lot to be said. I think you have to have big guts to get in that ring to fight somebody, because it's not a game. Boxing is not a game. It's a contest to see who's the better fighter. And I just have so much respect for our fighters for that reason. My father fought, and he had less than 10 professional fights, but he got hurt in boxing because boxing is a hurt game. I say this at the seminars, that if you want to keep a fighter from getting hurt, you have to stop the fight in the dressing room, because it's it's a hurt sport. So how much hurt are you allowing? How much you have to stop the fight if there's ever unnecessary damage.
And I see somebody like Oscar who's game, and he will take
yeah.
it to the very end.
Yes.
No
yes,
matter what.
Yes.
I-
yes.
I
yes.
have to say that it's up to the referee's discretion to understand what the fighter is made of.
Right.
And
Right.
it's very easy for us as fans to say, oh, that call was too soon.
Right.
That stoppage was too soon.
Right.
But then we think, as a family member, as a friend,
Right.
it's like, I would rather have him fight another day
Right.
than one more punch
That's
and
right.
not be able to come back to the ring.
You're exactly right. And again, that's spot on, because the philosophy, even of the WBO from our president, is that it's better to stop a punch one punch sooner than one punch later. Yeah.
But that's got to be tough for a fighter
It's
like
tough
you.
for a fighter because the fighter is the last person to realize how hurt you are.
Yeah.
Because punches don't really hurt. You get dizzy. You don't really feel that pain. So you might, a lot of these times, you might be confused. You think you're all right, but maybe you're not all right. But I'm also on the side where, hey man, let the fighter have the last chance.
Tell Russ what you told your dad.
When I was, back in 2009, we're watching a fight. It was Victor Ortiz versus Chino Maidana, and we're watching the fight. And I'm a hard fan, and Chino Maidana lands his shots, and then the whole big question that did he quit? Did he not quit? Of course he stopped the fight by himself. And I remember being a hard critic.
Right,
Man, you quit. You can continue this and that. I'm sorry, Victor, you're watching this.
Yeah.
I love you,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
But I was mad at the moment.
Right.
And my father told me, no, mijo, it was a right call. He did the right thing by choosing to fight another fight. And I said, no, pa. And we were arguing, me and my dad back and forth saying, and my dad, maybe being seriously, maybe joking around, I says, mijo, if you're ever in a tough position, I will have no option but to stop it. I don't want to see my son get hurt.
Right.
And I told my father, if you ever stop a fight, I will never talk to you again. We laughed about it. We laughed about it. And it was a joke, but it really wasn't a joke. And we've taken care of, we've been in this career together. Of course, he doesn't want to see his son get hit. Of course, I don't want to get hurt, but you got to at least give me the chance. I always tell my corner.
Right.
And it's been a tough thing when we have tough fights.
Right.
I thank them for always letting me continue, but of course, the fighter is the last person to realize when it's time to say, all right, there's time to hang it up, or it's time to call it, a quit in the fight, because it's hard to say quit because you work so hard to be in the position you are as a fighter, and it took you so much time, so much effort to be here for what, to quit?
Right.
No. Us fighters do not quit like that.
Right.
So it hurts when a trainer tells you, hey, it's over. It hurts when a referee, when a doctor says it's time to stop.
Right.
But it's one of those tough positions because in my case, I will always say, hey, let me have another one. Let me have another one. But if I have my friend fighting and if I see him being hurt, man, there's been a couple of times where I say, man, stop the fight. It hurts me to see my friend getting hit one more time. So it's got to be very tough for a referee to know when to maybe know the fighter, what's his limit, and how to call a shot, because you guys it's tough for the referee. It's tough for the referee because you guys would criticize that, oh, it was too soon.
Yes.
But if it was way too late, that's on your hands. So
that's correct.
How do you manage that? Because as fighters, like I said,
stopping a fight too late is unforgiven, and that's where the referee has to keep in mind. Sometimes a referee has to protect a fighter from himself, but in order to do that, you do it with good judgment. It's the full totality of what's taken place in front of you. If it's the only time the fighter's been hurt in the fight, or if it's early in the fight, you back off. You give that fighter a chance to recover. He's got a lot of gas in the tank. He might still be able to knock his opponent out. If he's got that knockout punch, if he's got that ability to get away from him, or if that fighter that's winning may have just punched himself out. And so then you have to fully take that in consideration to say, okay, I'm going to allow this fight to continue to its natural conclusion for all of those reasons. But now,
you got great examples, and I'm just wondering. Just a question, maybe back into the corner on this one.
No.
What would you have done if you would have been with Chico Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo when Castillo was hurting him, but then Chico Corrales comes back and does the opposite? That's a perfect example of giving the fighter always a chance, because he could flip, especially if it's a fighter with a hard-hitting shot. So it's I feel like maybe a lot of referees would have stopped the fight.
that's right. That's right. Well, I can only hope that I would have done as good as Tony Weeks would have did in that fight, because it is the right thing to do. He allowed the fight to come to its natural conclusion. Corrales still had the power to finish him off, and he did. A referee's got to understand that. Now, if a fighter doesn't have a chance anymore and it becomes unnecessary, we have to pull the trigger. Believe me, it's a thin line sometimes, and it's for some reason it's easier to hate than to love, and I guess that's human nature. But we get so much criticism as officials, but believe me, there's times that we can't sleep because we wanted to do better for the sport of boxing, or better for the love of our fighters.
And it's good for these conventions they have for referees like yourself and your friends to what do you call revalue or reassess
That's right.
everything, because
That's right.
of course you want a referee with experience like yourself.
Right.
Like weeks, like well,
Kenny Bayless, Joe Cortez.
Joe Cortez. You need those referees with extreme experience. 25 years?
That's correct.
And
25
you know,
years, yes.
I know for a fact you know how to judge or how to see when a fighter is okay, he's done, or he's still got some gas. Give him another chance
Exactly.
to see magic like Chico Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo
Right.
happened. So
Right.
So we need these type of conventions so they can revalue, re-see it.
And it gives the
correct.
up-and-coming refs the
That's
opportunity
correct. That's correct.
to get that first-hand knowledge. As a matter of fact, our common friend Joe Cortez, he always reverts back to the Juan Manuel Marquez Manny Pacquiao. Juan Manuel goes down 3 times in the first round, and Joe goes up to him when he's giving him, the protection.
Mandatory 8 count.
And he saw Juan's eyes, and he says to me, "There is no perfect science. This is not
Nope.
perfect." But I saw Juan's eyes,
That's right.
and I knew he still had it.
That's right.
And he said, I said to him, "Give me something.
Yeah.
Give me something
show
so
me
I
something."
can let this go." And we all know the result of that fight.
That's right. Turned out to be a draw with 3 knockdowns in the first round.
Exactly.
And sometimes we've taken criticism for fights, but I get that look from a fighter. I get that look. He's telling me I'm done. And then I wave the fight off, and sometimes because their friends are there, they have pride and their family's there, then they'll complain. But I get that look. I get that look, and I know what that look is, and I'll get him out of there. In fact, one of the fights was yours. When you fought, it's unnecessary to say, but he gave me the look, and I stopped the fight. He gave me the look, and I stopped the fight.
That's a good
Yes,
thing.
yes,
You can always
yes.
tell when I'm fighting.
Yeah.
I can always tell by the eyes. The eyes tell you, look,
Yes.
not to face up when the weigh-ins. That for me doesn't mean I'm the first one to look away. Like, I want to go eat. We made weight. Right. But when they're in the ring, most of the times you're not looking at the opponent's eye when you're fighting. You're looking at this. You're
Right.
looking at the arms. You're looking at the movement. But if you rock him, you look at his eyes, and the eyes will tell you something.
Yeah.
It'll tell you either he's
It's
scared,
fear.
either he got mad,
Yeah.
Or
either
he's hurt.
focused.
Yeah.
There's a lot of, remember,
Right.
Shakur Stevenson, I got him with a body shot. And I said, I had told you, I've got to hurt you with that body shot. Looked in his eyes.
Nothing. That's
No, you did
scary.
nothing to me. And it's like, man.
That is so discouraging.
It is. So the
Yes.
eyes tell you something.
Yeah,
Maybe he
but-
saw something in my eyes, and my eyes were in shock.
Right,
So it's a
right.
chess game inside the ring. And that's funny you
Perfectly
mentioned,
put.
you mentioned about the eyes, when the eyes
Yeah.
are telling you, please
Yeah.
stop the fight.
That's right.
But he doesn't want to say
That's
it.
right.
Because
That's right.
nobody wants to be a fighter and say,
Yeah.
I quit.
Which
right.
leads me to my next question.
Okay.
Because as a ref, you're there. And you feel the energy of
Yes.
both fighters. And you said, sometimes I gotta save the fighter from himself.
That's correct.
It's almost a pride thing because the fighter's not gonna quit.
No.
And the corner's not throwing the towel. It's on you.
That's right.
It's on you. And I would
That's right.
rather, by all means, as a fan,
Yeah.
for the ref to stop it than for the fighter to quit,
Right.
because the quitting will continue.
Right.
And it's going to be a heavy weight on the
Right.
fighter's back.
Right. Well, we all have a job to do in the ring, and everybody has responsibility. And when I go to the dressing room, I remind the chief second. I identify who's my chief second, and it's very important for me to let him know that we are both responsible for the safety of this young man. Do you understand that? Yes, I do. Okay. Nothing else needs to be said. In other words, I'm not going to tell him in the dressing room, oh, if you want to quit, throw in the towel. That's unnecessary. In fact, the fighter don't want to hear that.
No.
You're not in the dressing room to remind him of that. But I just we do want to remind him that we're responsible for the safety of this fighter. Both of us equally are responsible. And yes, I'd rather the coach, if he sees, let's say, I don't know this, but let's say the fighter may have a cold, wasn't feeling well, or actually something was ailing him. I may not know this, nobody else knows this, but the coach does. And so if he says that, you know what, this isn't right, I don't like it, we're done. Yes, I respect that. So we're protecting the fighter. And so again, the doctor, we have a ringside physician, we have a chief second, a referee to all collectively protect.
And going back to the pride thing, being the one that would be the last one to say, I'm done.
Yes,
I mean, he's fought with a broken hand, broken jaw. And you know what?
Yeah.
This is almost crazy because we admire that.
I know.
We admire that, and we honored to be able to say that we know you and that you've come out of those fights well. But not everybody's Oscar.
Right.
We need people like you that might just take the brunt.
Right.
To be able to say, listen,
right.
dude,
Yeah.
I'm not going to go too far, but Billy Joe Saunders broke an orbital.
Right.
And Canelo knew he was going back to the corner. He looked at his eyes. He felt the punch. He says, he's not coming out.
Yeah.
There's no way he's coming out.
Yeah.
When I went to the corner to look at the reaction, he's like, I'm okay. I'm okay. Because he wasn't feeling it.
Right.
When the doctor went in and touched and his finger went deep, he says, I'm stopping the fight.
Yeah.
But the fighter was getting ready to go back into the ring. I mean, I admire the balls.
Yeah.
But we got to save them from themselves.
Yes.
That's what we're born to do.
Right.
I hate when I hear this question when they say, you think he's scared of fighting this guy?
Yeah.
Or this guy's scared of fighting. Oh, man, we've been fighting our whole lives, man. We're not scared of fighting. What we might be scared of is that a lot of fighters out there, I understand that maybe scared of losing the undefeated record. But it's not scared of getting hit. It's because but we'll go back into the same thing. It got popular to always keeping your undefeated record. But that's what made great fights, and that's another thing. But fighters are not scared of facing other fighters. We're fighters. That's what we're born to do.
Yeah.
At least for me. And I see a lot of fighters the same way, and we talk about it, and I agree with 99% of what they say. We don't want to quit. We don't want to stop the fight because, like I said, we train so hard for not just 2 months for the camp. Ever since I was 8 years old, I'm 32 right now. My whole life, I've been training more than I've not been training. So to be in a fight and just call it quits, it's not a question. It's not an option.
No,
it's
at this level
never
it
an
isn't.
option. But then again, safety is one of the main things, and you gotta have a fighter. You gotta thank because I feel like they don't get the right credit.
No,
they
they
deserve.
don't.
And
And
it's very, very hard because either you stopped it too early or you didn't stop it, which is
Early
both
enough.
or very rare times it was like always a good stoppage. So I gotta thank you as a fighter for you guys doing your job and
Thank you.
looking out for the fighters, which is, as a boxing fan, I want to continue seeing. I want to see more Terence Crawford. I want to see more Inoue. I want to see Usyk. I want to see more Claressa Shields.
Chocolatito, the
Yes.
list goes
But,
on.
Yes.
for us to have longevity in the sport,
Yes.
we need to be protected.
That's correct.
By the referees, protected health-wise, protected by the
Yeah.
coaches, protected by ourselves, or knowing how to make this a lifestyle and last in the boxing world.
That's
And
right.
that's why we have these guidelines, and that's why
That's
I
right.
admire the different organizations that bring people with the experience that you have had inside and outside the ring as a
Yes.
fighter, as a referee, and as part of the commission to not only instill this type of knowledge to your peers, but also to fighters, to promoters, to managers, because this is a big family. And among those guidelines, like you said, they haven't changed. You've been more specific. And among the low blows, there's that one that Oscar and I, we just went, but we've always scored a fight. When there's a knockdown, it's a 10-8.
Oh, good.
We got to
Here we
talk
go.
about that because
Yes,
you
absolutely.
said that didn't change. It hasn't
Yes.
changed.
Yes.
There was a bit
hasn't
confusion,
changed.
so I
Yeah.
wanted to explain it.
And I apologize, guys. You want to back up 1 second. You hit a note that I wanted to talk about. There are all levels. There's different levels in all sports of athletes. Some, like me, I was a decent amateur. That was it. That was my limit. And there's some limits that we all have. World champions like this man, they're 1 in a million.
Yes.
Be a world champion with his mindset that he trains so hard, his diet is perfect.
Flawless.
I mean, that's 1 in a million. So it's absolutely my honor to even be in this interview with you because you're one of the greats. I have to say that because I believe that's true. These world champions are a cut above. Now, 10-8.
Yes. 10-8.
Get that confusion.
That confusion.
I'm a fighter, I'm a fan, and even I was
Yes.
confused on that one because I always thought it was that way.
It's always been that way. However, for some reason, they put it back on the judgment and or the discretion of the official. It was strongly suggested, but it was never mandatory. Although I think that was their intent. So now the ABC has clarified this. It says that if there's a knockdown, it's mandatory. It's 10-8. And with all rules, there's exceptions. The exception is if there is unquestionable, outstanding domination by fighter in the blue corner, and the fighter in the red corner scores a knockdown, then and only then you can go 10-9. But those are the only 2 scores that should be scored on a knockdown. And better explain this in other terms is that if bases are loaded in baseball and a team scores a single, you're going to get
One run.
1 run. Scores a double, he's going to get 2 runs. Now the next team's up to bat. And bases are loaded and you score a home run, which is again, now becomes a grand slam. That home run now becomes a grand slam. So the knockdown is the grand slam. So it's an automatic 2 points, with the exception that if the other fighter is winning with unquestionable, outstanding domination, then and only then it's 10-8.
Unquestionable, outstanding
Domination.
dominance. Domination.
That's correct.
3 standards that
Yes.
need to be not 1 out of 2, not 2 out of, not 1 out of 3 or 2 out of 3, 3 out of 3.
That's
You know,
correct.
talking about this, brought me to mind. I don't want to be the guy who's always talking about me, but in the 10th
No,
round
this is
of
good.
Miguel Marriaga, I was extremely tired in that round, and he doesn't know this, and I don't know if I've ever said this on there.
But if he doesn't know it, now he's going to know.
Now I'm gonna- he almost had me. I swear to God, I was so tired because of the pressure he was putting. I was about to take a knee of how tired I was. And he was landing shot towards shot towards shot towards, and I was like, man, this guy doesn't stop coming. And I was exhausted. I swear, I was just, and I tell this to my family members, my friends, I said, that was the hand of God, the God gift, because I throw a left hook and I send it to the canvas. And that saved the round. I went to a corner. I remember being in the corner and my legs were shaking of how tired I was. I remember telling myself, don't collapse, don't collapse, don't collapse. Because of, I think it would have been the first time in history where someone knocks down my opponent and the other one faints in the other corner.
Wow.
That's how bad I was tired. And I was tired, my legs were shaking. And then the bell rings and it got me a little bit, those 10 seconds or whatever seconds it
minute.
was.
45 seconds
No,
for
that's
real.
like when it was given
Oh,
the
oh,
A count.
I understand.
I was in the corner,
I understand.
shaking.
Oh, I thought the bell. I see.
No,
I
no,
know. I
when I
understand.
dropped
I thought you went to the
I
corner.
see.
I went to the corner, the neutral corner.
I see.
It was an A count, and I was telling myself, don't fall, don't fall.
You
'cause
really that bad?
That's how bad I was.
Wow.
I prometo. And then I remember it got me recovered just a little bit too enough to kind of finish the round. But I'm curious now to see, to go back to the scorecards, to see maybe if that round was scored a 10-9, because he was clearly winning the whole 10th round, and then I drop him. So was it a 10-8 or a 10-9?
We can look at it.
I'm gonna look at it right now just to be curious.
Now we have
because
to know.
Now we have to know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
if it was
Yeah.
like that in that case. But right now I was trying to think about a fight that was something similar. I was like, hold on. I remember my case where he was winning the whole fight, the whole round. I'm sorry. Then I sent him to a canvas. And I'm just curious. I just wanted to bring that up because I was looking for examples.
That is a perfect example. Perfect example.
How it would be a 10-9
Right.
because
Right.
like me and Claudia were talking about.
Right.
I always thought that if it was a 10-8, I mean it was a knockdown, it would have been a 10-8. But now I think you've explained that very clear and who better than the referee himself.
But
you,
only
thank you.
if they fit 3 out of 3 parameters.
That's correct.
So I love it because that gives us people that, I'm not a judge.
Right.
I score the fights just because I like scoring the fights. It gives me tools because that's another thing. A lot of people don't have the tools. And at home, they look at the cards and go, what were they looking?
Right.
What were they watching?
Right.
So that gives it a set of tools to be able to be clear and concise. This is how we're scoring the round by round.
In fact, that's exactly what we do in the seminars. I mentioned this earlier, is the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing. We give these referees tools that they can use under different circumstances, under different situations. I wished I would have these tools the first 20 years of my career. Unfortunately, I had to build my own tools because it was a different time. We didn't have the communication. We didn't have these seminars to this degree, to this clarification. Now we do. And now it's my mission to help teach the newer referees, the
new generation.
The new generation on the mistakes that I made so that they don't have to make the same mistakes that we learned from other films. We have so much film of where we could have done something different or better. Today we have Jack Reese, great referee.
California Commission.
Yes, absolutely. Amazing referee. We have Tom Taylor. We have Harvey Dock. We've got a slew of great referees that are all coming together to help teach these the new generation of referees.
Well, we grew up with, the Jane 80s of the world.
Yes.
Back in the day,
Oh, yeah.
and like you said, a lot of them had fought, be it in Golden Gloves, Silver
Right.
Gloves, they had come up through the PAL system. So they were refereeing based on their personal experience.
That's right.
And like you said, if very little tools or no tools,
Right.
just understanding damage, command, and just being able to recognize the fighters as they evolved.
They were just natural referees, Joe Cortez, Mills Lane, Richard Still, Jane 80.
Jane 80.
These guys were just born referees, but that's not exactly normal. It's just, you can love something all you want, and doesn't mean you're going to be exactly good at it. I love to box. I wished I could have been half the boxer that this world champion was. But those who can, do, and those who can't, teach.
Yes, but let me tell you something, Russ. Well, I remember when you had just moved to Las Vegas,
Yes.
and we've known each other that long.
That's right.
Oh, Lord.
So it's been 17 years now that my wife and I have been in Las Vegas. And again, I moved from Albuquerque, born and raised in Denver, moved to Albuquerque for 26 years, and we moved to Vegas so that I could referee. The sole reason was boxing.
Wow.
And the one who went and fetched you was Joe Cortez.
That's right. That's right.
And we were
Yeah.
there, and we were so happy.
Yes.
We embraced you with,
yes.
loving
Absolutely.
arms. And we were so. You graced the ring with your demeanor, with your empathy, with your wisdom, and we miss you. We miss
Thank
you.
you.
I miss your smiling face, even though we couldn't talk officially because, of course, we couldn't talk.
Right.
But the question is, do you miss it?
The best decision I've ever made in boxing was to accept this position on the board as the chairman of officials. I really like this position. Again, now it's my turn to give back. I love boxing and I think Oscar will understand this. All of us will understand this because boxing is our love. I wanted to break up with my love before my love broke up with me. Does that make
Fair.
sense?
Yes, that
Before
makes
they
sense.
said, "Hey, Russell, here's your assignments tonight. There's 2 4-rounders."
Oof.
You know, and I don't want to get to that age where that would happen. But more than that, it was just for me. It was time to say, it's time to go.
And go to the next level.
And go to the next level. I know this sounds really bizarre for somebody who may not have faith to understand this, but when I'm in the ring, I'm actually thanking our Lord Jesus Christ for giving me the opportunity to be in the ring with these world champions. Lord, give me the wisdom, give me your vision, give me
Amen.
the courage to stop this fight if I need to.
Oh my
And I'm watching this fight, and guess what? I heard, we're done now. And so, lo and behold, I had no idea this was going to come around, and it did. And so, once again, wasn't my will, it was God's will.
But
Yeah.
you are gracing us again with your knowledge and your wisdom.
Thank
and as
you.
much as we miss you, the most important part is to see you happy and seeing that beautiful smile always
Thank
shining
you.
upon us.
Thank you.
And of course, if you guys missed the course, you can always come back to the podcast and figure out what the low blow is, because now there's no question.
That's right.
It's the hip line.
That's correct.
Not the belly button.
That's
not,
correct.
It's the hip line.
That's correct.
And then knockdown, it's a mandatory 10-8,
That's correct. With the exception.
with the exception.
Unquestionable, outstanding domination.
Dominance. There you go. Do you have any questions now?
Oh, man, I got no question but to thank you again for looking out for these fighters.
Absolutely.
Because I've said this, judges get referees and judges get criticized very too often and get no credit. So
Yeah. Thank
I'd like
you.
to take the time to thank you for those amazing 25 years of your career and
Thank
for
you.
taking, because you refereed my fights.
Yes.
So it's been
I think at least three, maybe more, but at least 3. Yeah.
It's funny because we were having dinner last night. We were in the same area, and Jack Reese, the first thing he brought was, "Remember when you fought Mariaga?" And Mariaga's knocked down, and Oscar's like this. He goes, "That was a hell of a fight." So
Unbelievable.
those are priceless moments.
Yes,
priceless.
yes.
No, never forget those moments. So
This guy could hit
we all share a special moment
And take a hit.
in my
and take a hit. Bro, I don't know where you get that power from. I don't even understand it. It's amazing that you can hit, but
You know, one of the ladies that she's in the boxing family, but she's not in the boxing family. She's like, and she looked at Oscar. She had seen Oscar before, like saw him fight. But one thing is to see Oscar in the ring because he grows to be this, Goliath. And another thing is to see Oscar live. And she goes, "He's a baby." I go, "Yeah, just don't mess with him.
yeah, that's right.
Just don't mess with. Yeah, he's
right.
Baby face killer right there, right there."
Yes. Yeah.
No.
We got him all. You got him all. You got us all fooled.
I was here full.
And
Russ,
he ain't got
thank
me
you
fooled. I've been in the ring with him. I know.
We all know what he can do and
That's
what he can
right.
take. So, I know that you're getting ready for our fights tonight. We're gonna be airing those on the WBO website, on Facebook and YouTube. And are you gonna be taking part of this fight at all?
I helped with the assignments just from a housekeeping perspective. And so tonight, I'm just, if they need something, I'll be there. Other than that, I don't have an official assignment.
So more
Yes.
like a supervising hand assistance.
No less than that. We have a supervisor for every bout. So I'm just kind of, if they need me somewhere, if they need something, I'm going to be the one to get them. Yeah.
That's
to do
always
it.
been Russell. Russell Mora, ladies and gentlemen, we've been honored one more time enlightening us and just helping us make boxing a much better and safer sport. Thank you, Russell.
Thank you.
We're going to go for a short break, and we're about to just, end the afternoon session. We got to finish our cigar.
See?
Yeah,
You gotta keep it to your teeth.
you started it. You got to finish it. It's rule number 1. And yes,
She's a cigar expert.
I'm not far from expert, but I'm not going to ask you to join us, but Russell plays golf, so I know that there's a lot of golfers that do smoke cigars. Do you smoke cigars?
I do. I have one in my room that I bought here. Well, actually, I bought 2. I only bought 2 cigars, but I smoked one already. So I'm saving the other one.
The Dodgers are playing today.
Oh. I just have to admit, I respect all the sports, but the only sport I watch is boxing. I eat, sleep, and drink boxing. I probably in an NFL season might watch 10 minutes of football.
Really?
Yeah.
So you know what? I'm starting to think that I'm a weirdo.
No,
I watch everything.
I think guys like Russ and me, I mean, I watch baseball, but
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. It's boxing, and I don't know football, no soccer, no.
Yeah. And it's funny because baseball is one of the only sports that I respect. Well, no, I'm sorry, that's not true, and I apologize. That was low. They get them up, punch us up. That was wrong. That was wrong. I'm sorry. That I can relate to. How's that? That's better. put.
Yes, of
What I
course.
mean by that is that, okay, a pitcher doesn't stand at the mound with his shoulder square and throws like this. He gains his momentum. He gains his power. He get by turning
Yeah,
and
hit
then
the torque.
throwing. So my relation to that is the punch. You never just throw a punch like this.
No.
You turn, you wind up, you just
wind
like,
up.
yes. And so that's how I see baseball and boxing with some similarities. One time we had a young fighter making a pro debut that was a college baseball pitcher, and he had a beautiful right hand. It was natural. Yes. So anyway,
And the equivalent to a counterpunch would be a line drive coming right at your
oh
face.
my God, yes. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
So he's like, yeah, I know. Russ, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
We will see you tonight in the
Okay.
in the fights. You guys don't miss it. I don't know how much time do we have. Oh, we only have 15 more minutes. Okay, so we're just gonna keep chatting. We're gonna let Russell go,
Thank
and
you.
we're gonna wrap up the evening. We're gonna finish the cigar. We're gonna take a short break so we can say goodbye, accordingly to our great friend Russell Mora. We'll be right back in like a minute or two. Yes.
Thank you so much.
we're back and we're at the tail end of our afternoon session. We're back in Punta Cana, 36th Annual Congress, WBO, and of course, Óscar Valdez, two-time world champion, Olympian, and I'm not gonna ever stop saying that because I gotta remind you, because greatness needs to be reminded, especially when we're dealing with humble champions like you. We've had a great day. We started with Nakatani, then we had Vaquero, then we had Eric Gomez, and then we closed out the evening with Russell Mora. You know, fans can take something away, but as a champ who's been in this business since you were 8 years old, what do you take from this day?
Well, one thing that always reminds me is that, man, you never stop learning in boxing. You know, learning from Eric Gomez, you know, him talking about the promotional company, how hard is it for him to always stay focused because he's got a big responsibility looking out for all these fighters, not just one fighter, all of us from the promotional company. So it's like, wow, now I put myself in his shoes, like, okay, now I learned something different now from Eric Gomez. Now with referee Russell Mora. Russell Mora, the importance of taking care of a fighter and the stress that he goes through, always having to protect the fighter because they're the referees who get judged more. When they stop the fight too early, they get criticized. And now we're having the chance in the Nakatani, which was a little bit more complicated because it's Japanese. You need a translator, but it's been a great day for me because I've said this once, I've said this before, and I'll keep on saying it. Boxing is my life. I enjoy, for me, it's very easy to sit here and talk to you and talk to everybody because it's pure boxing. I'm not here with my next door neighbor who doesn't know nothing about boxing, and he asked me questions like, hey, when do you think Canelo's going to fight Andy Ruiz? And it's like, oh man. You don't know nothing about boxing. Okay, so you talk a little bit to him, but it's not fun to talk to him because you don't know about boxing. Just like, you know, they said before, most people don't know about boxing. But here, you know,
I realized how little I know about boxing every day.
Oh, you know about
No,
boxing.
but you know what I'm saying, especially when we're talking about like the nuances, the little things, the little details. I mean, because
Well, there are things that even I don't know, like the example of the 10-8 rule. You know, I always thought that it was when the opponent goes down, it's an automatic 10-8. Apparently not. So I'm glad that he kind of explained it here for the people, not just for the people, for me, because you know you never stop learning in boxing.
and this is key for you because you lived it too.
Yeah.
I mean, in your career, you had an opportunity to go, you perhaps a very rough round, and you still took, your opponent down the last seconds of the round. And now we're gonna go look at those scorecards. That's
I
how
look at the
homework.
scorecards because that was a perfect example. I was trying to think about an example how would you score a 10-9 instead of a 10-8 when the guys, if you hurt the opponent, it's most likely because you're winning the round. And then I was trying to think about fighters, and I was like, whoa, I remember that happening to me. I was very tired in the 10th round, about to take a knee, how tired I was, and getting hit a lot because I was getting tired, because I was tired. And then I just throw that left hook and landed, gracias a Dios. It lands, and I send my opponent to the canvas. So now I'm curious to see what the scorecards were for that round. So right now I'm gonna go on BoxRec and I'm gonna check.
We need to look at those cards.
Now I'm curious.
See, again, that's when you realize, and the more you learn, the more you realize there's a lot more to learn. And of course, the opportunity to talk about the possibilities that we have with like Zurdo Ramirez, Alexis Rocha, and the nuances, the details, the chess game that a promoter has to do and work with. And he's not the only promoter here. Golden Boy, Top Rank. We have other promoters in different countries coming from Costa Rica, from India, from Asia, South Pacific. It's amazing how we never think of boxing as a worldwide sport because we focus our efforts in the U.S.
Yeah.
but it's pretty wide.
It's worldwide, you know. We're here in Dominican Republic, and we don't really think about Dominican fighters, but once I got here, it started reminding me, oh, this fighter, no, that fighter,
Fortuna.
Payano, and
Claudio Marrero.
Marrero, and I remember even the amateur fighters. I remember fighting a guy, Roberto, I don't remember the name right now, but he was a tough fighter who represented the Dominican Republic in Pan American Games, Central American, and the world champ, Roberto Navarro. Great amateur fighter. I don't know what happened to him, but I think nowadays we're starting to see more Dominican fighters turn professional. Like you said, it's worldwide. There's a lot of fighters all over the world, but we always focus in mostly in the United States because it's the mecca of boxing. When you look at
And that's where we're at.
Las Vegas, because Mexican fighters, we're neighbors, so it's very simple for us to fly into California, Las Vegas, etc.
New York.
But it gets harder the more south to get. You know, Costa Rica for this fighter Valle, which I was forgetting to mention her name. I was trying to remember her name, but it's Valle, because Valle is a tough fighter. She's a tough fighter, but
Yocasta Valle, yeah.
but we go more down, and it gets
All the way
tougher
to
and tougher.
Argentina.
It
Let's
gets
not
tougher
forget.
and tougher for these fighters, but there is worldwide boxing material all over the place.
Exactly, that's why I insist, boxing is not coming to an end. Rápidamente, ya llegamos aquí a la recta final de esta edición de la tarde, de este Congreso número 36 de la OMB. Mucha información desde Nakatani, después tuvimos a Vaquero Navarrete. Esa conversación entre ustedes dos no tiene precio, oro. Y terminamos con, obviamente, Eric Gómez y cerramos con Russell Mora. Ya sabemos exactamente cómo se puede marcar un knockout. Un knockdown es un mandatorio 10-8 con excepciones.
Con excepciones.
Y ya quedamos claros.
Ya quedamos súper claros. Digo, ha sido un buen día de boxeo. Nos han explicado muy bien las cosas las personas que estuvieron aquí, especialmente Russell Mora. Nos explicó muy bien el ejemplo del 10-8. ¿No? Yo tenía entendido que si tú no quedas a tu rival, automáticamente era un 10-8. Pero no, o sea, si hay excepciones donde una pelea que va dominando un peleador y hay knockdown del otro, pues puede verla el 10-9. Entonces explicó muy bien Russell Mora. Tuve la plática con Vaquero Navarrete, que se me hizo bien, deseándole suerte con su próxima pelea. Esperamos que en el futuro se alineen las cosas y probablemente en una revancha. Hablar con Nakatani, un gran campeón que
Yo quedé aterrada lo alto.
que está por su división, súper mosca, más alto que yo y más tosco que yo se ve. Entonces yo estoy seguro que él batalla para el peso, pero esta convención me da gusto ver todo esto, que ayuden al atleta, tanto como a los referees, en poder proteger al boxeador, tanto como tener un nutrólogo, si no me equivoco, de hablar del sistema metabólico de los atletas para que duren más en su rendimiento y expandir su vida de atleta. Lo he disfrutado mucho todo eso, desde hablar con Eric Gómez, la importancia de un promotor, lo difícil que es ser un promotor, un matchmaker y tener toda una organización, depender de muchos boxeadores. Entonces ha sido muy bonito, lo he disfrutado mucho.
Bueno, yo lo he disfrutado todavía más gracias a tu compañía. Llegamos al final de esta edición de la tarde. Tenemos una cita mañana aquí con la edición de la mañana, pero los invitamos a que nos acompañen esta noche a partir de las 7 de la noche con la velada boxística que va a estar transmitida por medio de YouTube y todas las plataformas de WBO. Ahí vamos literalmente a exaltar el talento dominicano, así que no se lo pierdan. Sin embargo, nosotros quedamos pendientes hasta mañana a las 10 de la mañana trayéndoles a ustedes los pormenores. Un día grande, rankings, obligatorias, mandatorias y todos los movimientos que se pueden hacer. En nombre de, obviamente, de Óscar Valdez y mi equipo de producción, que normalmente no los menciono, pero Ryan, Jeff, les deseamos una feliz tarde y hasta mañana.